Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming on our stream. I'm Alex Guerrero, and I'm going to be facilitating this game of Dragonhearts for everyone today. But before I do that, we will talk about a couple of our sponsors and things, let you know the wonderful folks who are bringing you this content. So huge thanks to Tabletop Loot, our amazing dice sponsor, providers of fine dice for all your gaming needs, except for in this game where there are no dice, but the rest of the time, you're good to go. Head on over to www.tabletoploot.com and use the code WTTPDICE to get 15% off your next purchase. Also, So Nerdware is another sponsor. Maddie and his amazing merch shop are the sole provider of Welcome to the Party merch. Head over to www.sonerdware.com and use the code WELCOME at checkout to get 10% off your next purchase. So Nerdware, it's what the nerds wear. And then Roll20 is another of our proud sponsors, the virtual tabletop that runs straight out of your web browser. Everything you need to play with your friends is ready at the click of a mouse, from click-to-roll character sheets to built-in video and voice chat. You can even upload your own maps and tokens. Get all that and more with a free basic account on roll20.net. Sign up now at roll20.net/start/WTTP. And finally, Welcome to the Party is proudly supported by Devin Rue, who has provided huge support to the community since we launched. For some of the best cartographical content on the web, check out rueink, RUEINK.com. And then our Patreon not only goes to support this channel and the people who support it. Your generosity allows us to keep working on our mission to platform amazing LGBTQ, and I've never said this one out loud, BIMPOC? Is that the way we're saying that? BIMPOC. BIMPOC players and creators. So check us out at patreon.com/welcomepartyrpg. And as always, join us on our amazing Discord. I just was there like a couple weeks ago, and suddenly I'm playing games and running games on here. So it's a very good way to meet a lot of cool folks and play some fun games with them. All right, so next we will introduce our wonderful players. I don't know what order we want to go in.
You can pick at random. Probably.
Okay. So, Leona, why don't you go first?
Alrighty. Hello. My name is Leona. You can find me on Twitter at Leona Maple, and I am playing. Let's see. What is her full name? Once I find the actual thing, it is. She who shines like sapphire. That's hard to say. She who shines like sapphire. Oh no! What have I done? We'll call her Sapphire for short.
Okay, just going around in a circle the way that my I should do it. Should I do it by the Twitch? Because then people can actually see and it stays the same?
Yeah, I suppose.
Okay, so what order are we even in on there? Okay. That you're in the other corner. Uh-oh.
Whoops. Then
This
you're gonna
isn't,
have to go
this isn't the
backwards.
same. All right, so we'll do it going around clockwise. So Simon is next.
Cool. Well, I'm Simon. You can find me on Twitter and on itch at Lucha Libris. And I will be playing an elegy for a forgotten dream from a slumber yet to come, the Void Dragon, but we can just call them Elegy for short.
So good. And then next up is me going around. So I'm Alex. I use he, him pronouns. And my character is the Forge's Ominous Rumble, who uses she, her pronouns. She goes by Forge and is a sun dragon. And last but not least, Megan.
Hi. I am muted. I am not muted. Yay. Okay. I am Meg. You can find me modding the Discord and rambling around. I will be playing Moxie Riella of the Moon Shadow, and we can call her Moxie. And she is a moon dragon.
Perfect.
I forgot to say mine's a sun dragon.
Yeah. That's going to be so fun. All right. So next up, we will jump in and start doing some game stuff, I think. So if everybody can open up your games to the introduction, we can just sort of read this out to the chat since they cannot read along with us, and we'll just read through a couple of pages of the game, which is how you play it. It's designed to be read aloud as you go, and then we will just sort of alternate by paragraphs or whenever you get bored of reading and pass it on to the next person. So you went first last time, Leona. Do you want to go first again, or should someone else do it?
Sure, I don't mind. Am I starting with the introduction?
Yeah.
Okay. Like everyone else in your world, you are a shapeshifter, able to assume a human form, a dragon form, or anywhere in between. Every 1,000 years, your planet experiences the eclipse. The sun, moon, and the mystic ever-shifting sky mountain align, and ritual magics are invoked that affect the entire world. After the last eclipse, a faction of dragons left the planet, seeking a new home in the starry void. As the next eclipse approaches, the void dragons return, altered by their long journey, their agendas unknown. The Sky Mountain has chosen each of you as a representative of your faction for the eclipse ritual. You are guided by surreal, prophetic dreams that draw you to one another. The oracles say only one of you can attain totality and control the ritual's power, but the ancient dragons who might remember the last ritual have long since fallen into slumber, so no one knows how this is done. As such, the weeks leading up to the eclipse are full of festivals, flamboyant combats, elegant dances, friendly competitions, and so on, as each faction delights in showing off the prowess and beauty of its chosen and hopes to satisfy the mysterious requirements of your destiny. When dragons meet, etiquette and culture strain to rein in their instincts, but tensions run high, erupting into cataclysmic battles or fiery romances, often simultaneously. Your dreams tell you that the bonds you form in this time are important, even if you can't yet see why. Your deep friendship, passionate romance, intense rivalry, or bitter hatred might be the key to your destiny and the world's fate.
Nice. All right, so let's see. Simon, do you want to go next and read the next little bit as much as you like?
Sure. How to play?
Yeah.
All right. You'll need 3 or 4 players, including yourself. Technically, you could stretch to 5 or 6, but it's challenging to balance spotlight and development for each character without a much longer playtime. Allow 3 to 4 hours to play and for your game to prove. You'll need at least 1 copy of this playbook, but having additional copies for each player is preferable. To start, you'll read aloud the next few pages to introduce the safety mechanics, your characters, and the world. Then take turns. On your turn, you'll choose a game to play, turning to that page on the playbook and following the rules you find there, picking which other players you want to join. When you're done, go around the table picking more games. Keep going as long as you want. The very first game should be a fractal dream. The very last, end game, the eclipse. While playing a scene, you'll have prompts and questions to answer. Fill in the blanks from your imagination. Use the prompt as a guideline and elaborate freely from there, reading the prompt aloud if you want, throwing in your own contributions before and after. Any list with slashes, like this in the text, allows you to pick an option or make one up.
All right. I'll read No Death, Only Dreams. Although you may engage in titanic combats and take terrible wounds, dragons cannot die. Instead, your wounded body sleeps and regenerates. The Void Dragons speak in hushed tones of a dragon who fell into the heart of a star and is still there, sleeping, waiting. If you're ever badly overtaxed or injured, play a fractal dream on your next turn and follow the relevant prompts. So for the next bit about safety and consent, we'll probably just read the first 2 paragraphs. Yeah, since the rest of it is about a tool that we don't actually have, since it is in physical form. So I'll read the first paragraph there, and then you can read the second, Megan. That sound good? So I'll say safety and consent. This game involves playing with a lot of different headspaces, being a cool, powerful monster, being flirtatious and sexy, indulging in melodrama and being as extra as possible, and many more. These headspaces and their overlaps can be complicated. It's impossible to predict how another player will feel about something you bring up, even if they're someone you know well.
Oh, you're muted.
Okay. If you have a favorite safety mechanic, feel free to use it. But for this game, Alex recommends the support flower. And the support flower is just a little bit easier than over other safety tools like the X card because it allows players to express enthusiastic consent, which is important in this game. A player saying, "The moonlight glints off my fangs as I lean towards the soft scales of your throat," could be something the other player is really into or really not into. And the same player might feel differently on different days or in different contexts.
All right, perfect. And yeah, the next bit is also never hesitate to pause your game and talk things out. Shows respect for your fellow players, and everyone will feel better when you dive back in. So that is something that supersedes anything else going on in the game. We always want people to feel comfortable, especially since we are dealing with potentially, charged and intense situations. So the next bit is character creation, which we have already penciled out a little bit of our characters. So I think what we will want to do next is go over to our, let's see, why don't you scroll down to the page that has the information for your character's faction, and then we can read out just the little first paragraph for each of them, and then we'll each go and read the description of our character and all the cool stuff about them from our character keepers. Should we keep going in the same order?
Sure.
Sure.
All right, sweet.
Okay. I can do Sun Dragon. So regal and cultured, Sun Dragons rose to power 1,000 years ago during the last eclipse. One of their number attained totality, altering the entire planet to suit their aesthetics and uses. And then, did you want me to do my dragon, or should I wait?
Yeah, go ahead and do yours.
Okay. So, she who shines like sapphire, is a sun dragon. Her blood is dawn mist. Her breath is good fortune. Her qualities are that she's radiant and ambitious, and her horde is erotica. And the scales of her spine change color with her mood. And she's open for romance.
Excellent. Next up is Simon.
Cool. The Void Dragon. Unsettling and enigmatic, void dragons traveled for 1,000 years, their eggs incubating in the strange energies and cold silence of space. Returned at last, they pursue obscure agendas in secret workshops. My character is named An Elegy for a Forgotten Dream from a Slumber Yet to Come. Their blood is dream stuff. Their breath is tranquility. Their qualities are otherworldly and intoxicating. Their horde is stars. And Void Dragon's moods, every playbook gets a different mood thing to choose from. For the Void Dragon, it's obviously you have mood expressive color change and pheromones, but you feel most fluent when communicating with your telepathy. What musical instruments does it usually sound like? And their telepathy sounds like a chorus of handpans. If you have ever heard the instrument that sounds like, it looks like a steel turtle shell, they're really striking. So just imagine
neat.
like a ton of them all playing at once.
All right, and then for me, I am also a sun dragon, and my character, once again, is the Forge's Ominous Rumble. She is a total edgelord. See how this goes. So my blood is lava. My breath is like a pyroclastic cloud, which is like that big eruptive poof that comes out of a volcano that has like lightning crackling in it. My qualities are that I am hot and severe, and my horde is metal tools and weapons. Her mood is expressed because her skin glows from within, and she's also open for romance. Last but not least, we have Megan.
Hello. Okay, so the Moon Dragon. Bewitching and innovative, moon dragons retreated to the moon after the last eclipse. Only a few diplomats and embassies remaining. Their mastery of magic and science are unparalleled among dragons. And I am playing Maxriella of the Moon Shadow, and her blood is healing wine. Her breath is lunar wind, which is kind of just very, not quite stale, but just cold and a little dry, I suppose. her qualities are that she is very awkwardly sensual. She's trying, and her hoard is all fruit except kiwis, and her normal ambient scent is set off of like, obviously, according to the book, obviously you have mood expressive color change and telepathy, but you feel most fluent when communicating via scent using your pheromones. So her ambient scent is pretty much any fruit that ties into her mood. So like if she's happy, like her favorite scent is citrus. So if she's happy, it's very orangey. If she's like sad, it's kind of like blueberries and grapes, a little more wine flavored scents. So it's kind of like that. But she hates the smell of kiwis, so she just doesn't like kiwis. So she doesn't usually like it doesn't reflect in her telepathy. And she's also open for romance.
Yay, I love the fruits. That's so good. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is a little bit of our world building. So this game has very collaborative world building, even though I'm talking a lot and sort of helping to facilitate the game. I don't have any more power than anyone else. This is a very egalitarian game where we're all, equal co-creators of our world. So one thing we're going to do as we start that world building part is we will read our faction details, which you'll see at the bottom of that character section. So we're going to read the text out loud and then sort of share your answers as you're going. Other players can share their ideas, but you have final say on what's true for your faction. If multiple people are playing the same faction, like Leona and I are, then we can collaborate, or we can have multiple answers be true. So once again, Leona, you can go first and read out the little text there and then add in what you want to be in the blank spot.
We've created wondrous institutions and artifacts such as blank. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and this is a very free, throw out whatever ideas you have, and they'll probably be cool and stuff.
Okay.
You can just make up a cool name for something and not even know what it is if you feel like it.
Wondrous institutions and artifacts such as I want to say museums, but that's not very exciting.
That's pretty cool. Everybody likes museums.
Okay, museums it is. I don't know, we're dragons that made museums.
Yeah. And then you can do the next one.
Okay. And that is decadence and complacency have led us to. Decadence and complacency have led us to. Be very expressive, I want to say.
Ooh.
I don't know. I feel like we're very expressive dragons.
That's great. Oh, and for our future reference, if you go over to the character keeper, I made a little spot in the bottom right where you can write out your answers to those so we can remember them later.
Okay, so should I write like museum?
Mm-hmm.
And expressive. Oh, that did not work. Museum, comma, expressive. And the last one is I feel our traditions and laws about blank are blank. I feel our traditions and laws about. I have no idea. Alex, what do you think?
Maybe there are laws about like property ownership that are weird in some way. It might be interesting. I don't know how dragons would handle that.
This is my cave.
Yeah.
Property ownership.
And then maybe we can both feel a different way about that since we're both sun dragons.
Yeah, property ownership are weird. Is that what we're going with?
Sure.
Okay. Here we go.
And I think, yeah, just since I'm also a sun dragon, I can tag on to that. I think it'll make sense to do sort of both of ours at the same time. So I think for me, the wondrous institutions and artifacts that Forge really likes are something other than the museums. She's not a big museum goer. I think she really likes the. I think there is an artifact that is called like the Great Labyrinth that is like sort of a big maze full of like traps and obstacles and things that are all like dragon sized. So they're even interesting and fun for dragons to do. And it's sort of like it goes on whatever the dragon equivalent of TV is. Maybe a bunch of dragons just fly above it and look down at you while you're flying around in there. That's probably it. I don't think they have cameras, although they could. We're making stuff up here. But I think for my taste, yeah, I'll say that it's just a big maze that is like a skill challenge that you can go through and show off how cool you are. So I'll put that in there. The Great Labyrinth. Is that what I called it the first time? I don't remember.
Yeah.
It's called that now. I think decadence and complacency have made us expressive. And they've also made us, I think, kind of specialized. Like, I think that different sun dragons like get really into one thing, and they're like, "This is my jam. I'm gonna do this for 200 years and like get really good at growing grapes or whatever." Not a lot of dragons of all trades, and I'm gonna go with the same tradition and law about ownership that you think is weird. So why don't we dig in a little bit to like what is that law about exactly? Is it like when you die, what happens to your stuff, or like are there communist dragons who want to distribute goods to everybody? What do we think it should be about?
I mean, I don't think dragons die in this world, so I think.
Right, yeah. If you fall asleep for too long, somebody could come and take your stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. It could be what happens when someone wants to take your stuff.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So there's some sort of weird law about that. And what is it exactly?
It could relate to hordes. Like you have
Yeah.
something that I want that would be fine in my collection. And so I can just take that from you if I believe that it belongs in my horde more than yours.
Yeah. That's awesome. I like that.
And
a
maybe
lot.
there's like a challenge that like you can fight each other. Like, no, I won't give that to you.
That's perfect. Yeah. So maybe do we want to say one of our characters is in favor and the other one is not in favor of it? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sweet. So do you like it or do you not like it?
I think I like it.
Nice. I think I don't like it then. I think that I'm really like jealous and possessive of my horde. So I'm not like, no, you can't have it even if you fight me. Whatever. You're not going to win, but also you don't get it. Cool. Against horde battle laws. Perfecto. Alrighty. So next we will go around to Simon, I guess. Unless you want to go now, Megan. The order is not super strict, I don't think.
Yeah, okay. I'll go. Yeah, so our search for a new home among the stars was blank. I would say long and lonely.
Aww.
Yeah. We were much changed by the journey, gaining blank, but losing blank. I feel like it has to be something like we were gained knowledge, but lost like our humanity, as it were, like our connection to the physical. Yeah, I actually like connection to the physical.
Oh, that's
like,
cool.
Because we have ascended in a way, like we feel like we've transcended sort of some mortal needs, as much as dragons are mortals, but like we don't need the bonds of flesh as much, which makes us unsettling to people. Like we don't have to. We have these shells, these like flesh shells, for their convenience. But like if we had our way, if we were out in the stars, we would just be like a solar wind, just like drifting through the cosmos or something like that.
Yes.
How romantic.
gained wisdom but lost physicality. I think there is definitely something to explore in the game about romance with that. Like, how do void dragons express romance, and like, do we miss having bodies? We experience pleasure the way that others do. Most dragons can blank, but I can't. I blank think of myself as dragon kind. Mm. I want to say something like dream. Like most dragons can dream.
That one
Which I
might
think-
be a little tricky because one of the games that
Oh,
we
the
are
mo-
required to play is about dreams.
It's all about that, right? All right.
But
I
you
was just
might
thinking,
have.
like, what is a juxtaposition?
Yeah.
Let's see. Most dragons can. It's probably something magical. Perhaps it relates to this physical nature. Change forms, maybe. Like when you're a physical body, right? You can manifest as like, I'm a human dragon hybrid. I'm a whatever. I'm a small dragon. I'm a big one.
Mhm.
I think like elegy is like, it's a binary. There's two. They are either cosmic nothingness or physical dragon, but they can't alter themselves when they're physical.
Whoa, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Change form, but I can't. And then what was the other half? I blank think of myself as dragon kind. I wish I could think of myself as dragon kind.
Yes.
Going to be a lot of existential crisis moments for you.
That was super fun. Every time somebody makes a really sad void dragon, I'm like, yes, this is why I made that.
I'm smelling what you're stepping in.
Yeah. All right, over to Megan.
Okay, so with the Moon Dragon, some of our many secret projects, such as Blank, are nearing fruition, and I'm not going to tell you because otherwise it's not a secret. So, nice try. During our self-imposed exile, we have gained the wisdom of temperature manipulation. So I feel like being on the moon, you're kind of just stuck with the same temperature variance. Like you're not. It's very, like I said, like it's a dry air. So with some of us that have like the breath power that I've got as well, like it's very much like we've learned how to manipulate it. So lunar wind can feel more like a sandstorm or like a heat wave. And so like using that has kind of been like one of her things that she's worked on.
Oh, cool. She's like a terraformer, except a lunaformer.
Yeah. Which is how she's like really good with fruits, is because she basically has helped with like the agriculture on the moon. And so I've watched us fall into, what did I put? I flipped the wording on this a little bit. I've watched us fall into both negative and positive power patterns of change. Which I feel are blank, and I put are like, I feel like the changes are great, but that's also slightly intimidating because like I've been chosen for this whole thing that I have to do, and it's like if I leave home and I come back, like what the hell will I have missed? And she's very much, she doesn't like not knowing what's going on, and so like leaving her home is a little like daunting to her, so she's just kind of like, don't blow the moon up while I'm gone. Like, it's kind of where she's at with that. She's like, please don't blow that up. I've worked really hard to put citrus trees on the damn moon, and if you kill that, I'm going to hurt you. Like, that's kind of her thing. Is she's just like, she's a little afraid of the change back home that's going to happen.
That's cool. I like that a lot. You're like, no, the moon is too changing. I need the moon to chill.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So next we're going to do a little bit more collaborative world building, and then we will be off to the races and picking our games and playing. So if you go down to the world building page, together we will describe our planet, and we can define the environment and climate, society and culture, population, magic, technology, anything else we can think of. So we're going to write some true things about this world. So each of our sun dragons, who are the faction who has been in control for the last 1,000 years, they were the ones who succeeded at attaining the power of the last eclipse, terraformed the world just how they like it. We'll get to write 2 things each about this world because we're on top. So we can talk amongst ourselves and think about it, or just hammer some things down if you have ideas about what is true about the world, and then that's going to be under the Our World Is section on our character keeper. Yeah. Nice. I like that a lot. Let's say that our world is... I think it's like, I want to say it's very like exciting and adventurous somehow. Like they don't want to get bored, so they have created lots of interesting like amusements and diverting things just scattered all around the world. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's I think that's good. Yeah, 2 total is fine. And then our moon dragon goes next.
So I put the simple line of learning. So our moon is learning. Because we're so innovative, like we're learning new ways. We're trying to figure things out to either make the moon similar to how our world is, or almost even better in some aspects. And so that's also why things are constantly changing, is because they're always learning.
Nice. And then you also write 1 true thing that about the world, which could be a thing you like about it, a thing you don't like about it.
The world is rigid. And it's a catch-22. It's kind of the same thing where it's like she likes it but she doesn't, and it's because of the way that the moon is constantly changing and constantly learning and growing and able to shift from one way of doing things to another fairly, usually without some what is it, like
Growing pains or...
Yeah, like without like as big of a growing pain or anything. And it's like having the world that has been established for like millennia and everything, like not everybody wants to change things and people are going to fight more. And so she's like, no, I like my moon, we're learning, bye.
That's great. Okay, and then last, Simon, our void dragon, will tell us about something that was once true about the world, but not anymore. Back 1,000 years ago when you were last here, things were different.
Yeah. And so one thing that has been true since ancient times, and one that once was but is no more.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot to read out the whole thing. Thanks.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't know if you changed it last minute or not. I think one thing that has been true since ancient times is about magic itself. I think there's just like the world is inherently magical to varying degrees. Like dragons are like obviously these hyper concentrated fonts of it, perhaps sustained by it itself, but there's still ambient magic in like all sorts of natural features and other creatures that are on the world, and that's partially why you can manipulate things, or dragons can manipulate things. Is like we're harnessing like the magic that's in whatever. One thing that once was but is no more. I think this world, even if it was beautiful, or is beautiful now, before it was probably still beautiful, but it was aquatic. The whole world was covered in water. It was just this completely sunken I mean, it wouldn't be sunken, but like completely waterlogged planet. And in the 1,000 years since we've left, the sun dragons were like, screw it, and then just changed it all completely. Like, this is boring. But I think that's why void dragons are like sort of naturally were able to just like make that journey, because they're just used to swimming, and swimming, you're like swimming through the stars.
That's cool. Perfect. So we can note that stuff down in our info there, and then we will move on
Oh
to
no,
there's.
I was muted. I'm so sorry, audience. I'm so sorry.
Uh-oh, what did
Yeah,
you what did you
I
miss?
was muted in OBS, so I don't think they heard what I said about the world. So
Oh,
if
do
you
you
want
want
me
do you want
to,
to go over it
yeah,
again?
I think I'll just read it very quickly. Thank you, Andy, for capturing that. So we decided that our world for the Earth for the Sun Dragons is beautiful, as well as exciting and adventurous, and that was basically what we were deciding on there. Sorry about that.
Okay, so moving on to, we have now pretty much finished up our world building stuff. There's a little part where you can draw on a little drawing of the world if you have it printed out in front of you, but we don't, so we'll skip that, sadly. And so the next thing we'll do is we are going to play our first game. So for viewers who aren't familiar with Firebrand's Formula Games, though, that was a really wonderful game written by Meg and D. Vincent Baker, which is about like romantic adventures of mecha pilots. And I played that game a bajillion times, like probably 30 or 50 times, so many times. I love it so much. And my one thing is I was like, but I want the mechs to be able to kiss. And so if the mechs are dragons, the dragons can also kiss. See, so that's my grand plan with this game. The next thing, why did I even bring that up? Because it's great. Yeah. Oh, because so this game is made up of like 10 or 12 smaller games that you sort of play when you want to have a different little minigame experience. So we're on our table of contents, but since you viewers cannot see that, maybe we'll just read that out. Do we want to go around and everybody can read out like 2 of the games and their little description? Yeah, we'll have. Are you busy, Leona, or do you
Yeah,
want to start?
just give me 1 second.
Sweet. Okay, I'll start first. So the first couple of games are a Fractal Dream. Everyone plays this first, and you'll play it alone when you're overtaxed or as desired. And Ritual at the Sky Mountain is the second game. Choose a ritual to change your character permanently, then set your next game in the dream world and draw others into it.
I'll read the next two. The next game is A Dance, Get to Know Each Other, Indulge in Fashion, Flirtation, and Drama. And A Conversation Over Food, Get acquainted while trading gossip, secrets, and promises.
And Megan, you can do the next two.
A demonstration of skill and generosity. Show off what you each have to offer in skill, talent, and treasure. And the next one is a pursuit. Build up tension, explore, and define what you want from each other.
All right. You want to do the last couple, Leona, or do you need another minute?
No, I'm good. So the first one is At Each Other's Throats. And that one is have a big cool dragon fight fraught with emotion. In Each Other's Arms is the next one, which is charged conversation and situations gets as spicy as you want it to. And then the last one is Endgame, the Eclipse, and you pick one of 3 ending games as you heed or defy Destiny's call. It's exciting
All
stuff.
right. So you can just ruminate in your brain about what you might want to play later on. And before we do any of that, though, we will first play out our fractal dreams. So, as you'll remember from a little bit ago in our intro, each of our characters has been having this recurring dream over and over that is giving them this sort of prophetic vision about what's going down. And it may make no sense at all and just be a bunch of cool imagery because it's a dream and that's fine. Or, maybe you have a plot. Who knows? So, we'll go down to that page and we'll read out, maybe I'll, just for the sake of expediency, read out the little setup here. So, The setup says, every night you have the same dream. Every night it changes. When you first play, in any order, everyone uses the prompts on the next page to describe their dream's surreal events. If it isn't your first time one player plays using the prompts to the right, that's for when you have a recurring dream. So during the scene, anyone can ask anyone questions about the setting, occasion, and circumstances, even if they aren't playing in the scene. If some details are not yet clear to you, pass over them. That is the way of dreams. And then we have a dream journal. If an image or moment in your dream seems particularly cool or likely to become meaningful, write it down in your character keeper in the other tab of your browser. And you will keep adding to that whenever your dream recurs. So, going on to the right part of our page, we can see that we have a different dream dreamed by sun dragons, moon dragons, and void dragons, each of which is going to pick from a list of cool sounding words to inspire you for inspiration for what happens in your dream as you just make up a bunch of cool stuff. And you'll notice that the little, this is a list like most of the lists in the game, I think all of them, that have the little slashes where you can also make up your own word instead of picking one from the list if you want. So, anybody who likes can go first. We'll probably just take a second and read all of the words and think about it for a sec.
Eugene Marshall, thank you for the follow.
I'll go. Maybe.
Follow your heart.
My heart's running into a wall, so.
Maybe not.
So when it says like for inspiration, is that just like what the dream is based around, or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yay, thank you for the bits too.
Yay! Thank you.
Hooray. Oh yeah,
Okay.
you can read out the little 2 lines about what your dream is about after it says moon dragon.
Okay. Moondragon, a dream of the future. You dream of an ominous crisis yet to happen or a wondrous breakthrough just beyond your sight. And the inspirations behind it are voyage and competition. I think a lot of it is she's aware of what's going on, and she's trying to figure out like how to be the one that does everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like
And
to be the chosen one kind of thing.
Yeah, and you can feel free to describe like what your character looks like, what they're going around and doing in their dream, how this works. Just like you were telling somebody the weird dream you had last night.
Moxie's a very silver dragon, just I'm trying to figure out like the silver that I'm thinking of because I can see it. Like almost kind of like a very, very light periwinkle, but just very, very silvery to it. There's a little more shine to it than there would be. Her scales are just they glint off of obviously like the sunlight that is out. And so she's just very shiny. But she's the dream that she has is she's sort of just walking around. She can tell that she's on the world and she's just there. But she's again, it's following my heart into a wall. She's kind of running into walls. She doesn't really know why she's there. She just knows stuff's going on, but she's just like, oh, I guess this means I'm the chosen one, I guess. And is just kind of looking around like, what the heck? And is like trying to find some way forward and to get there. And so through that, she's trying to invent things and create things to get her to keep moving forward in the dream. And each invention is different than the last, but it's never too technologically different or difficult. A lot of it's just stuff that's on her world that she's already made before. And so she's navigating all of that until she gets up to, I guess, where the ceremony of everything would happen, and she's stuck. There's just like a glass wall. almost like a barrier, just like not letting her go up and like proceed. And so she's just like, "What? You lead me this way, and then I'm stuck." And then she just kind of wakes up and is out of it, and like, "What the hell?"
Oh, that's the most frustrating recurring dream. That's
Yeah.
great.
And so like with that dream, she keeps having them, and like the past few ones, it's the same thing. And so each time she's gotten further and further, like those are the same inventions. And so every dream is just a sequence of her getting closer. But then this last one, she just hits that wall and is like, "What the damn it!"
Oh, that's brutal. But yeah, setting
Um,
detail for our viewers who haven't seen the cover of the game. It shows some dragons that are standing on like this big inverted mountain that is like floating in space. So when we talk about the Sky Mountain, which we will occasionally, that's the place where the big eclipse ritual is going to happen at the end, which is on a big upside down mountain floating, sort of I guess the Lagrange point or something, but it's up like at the edge of space where we're going to do our ritual. So that's where you're getting glass walled off from, which is incredibly rude. All right, whoever wants to do their weird dream can go next.
Um, I think I've got the prompts for mine. I picked Union and Society, and I think Sapphire's recurring dream has a lot of like. I feel like she's almost like always chasing after other dragons, and she's always trying to like um, bring dragons together, and it's almost like she's like looking for someone or something, and she's trying to, yeah, it's really weird and vague, but she's trying to like bring all these dragons together, and there's all different kinds of dragons. There's moon dragons and void dragons, and she's just kind of lost amongst all of these different dragons, and she's kind of looking around going, what do I do? Like, like how do I create a society out of this, really? And how do I union as in union for the group, or union as in union for herself? She's not sure which of those two. Maybe both.
Ooh. All right. You want to go next, Simon, or shall I?
I've got an idea.
Go
So
for
the
it.
Void Dragon's prompt is a dream of the past. You dream of something precious, centuries lost, or something long dormant, soon to awaken. The words that I'm choosing are spine and choir. Um, and Elegy is dreaming of the time before they left on the journey to the stars, of the coral reef. Except this is not CORL. It's coral. It's a reef of coral, but it's the coral CHORAL reef. A massive reef of coral that stretches all the way across the circumference of the planet, deep along the edge of the bottom of the ocean. And the reason it's called that is because it's this massive structure that in the holes, in the spaces between the coral itself, the way that tides and magic itself ebb and flow through it creates a sort of music in a tone that we can't fully understand, but sometimes we can if we listen right. And Elegy is dreaming of, I think, the first time they went to visit the reef itself, or at least part of it, since it's everywhere, right? But since the Sun Dragons terraformed the whole planet, it either disappeared or was destroyed or is somewhere else. But they are dreaming of the first time they were there, and approaching it and seeing all of the myriad colors that the coral takes, and the way that it shifts and responds to things moving near it and away from it, and listening to the music, this sort of low humming chorus that builds and builds as they get closer and closer until finally it is this almost overpoweringly beautiful thing, the way that you, like, if you listen to a church like organ like too close, and it just shakes your whole body, they're feeling this vibration. um, and it seems like the reef itself is calling to them, asking them for something or telling them to do something, and they don't know what to do or how to respond. but they know that they are supposed to harmonize with it, and so they open their jaw to sing. And as these notes begin to spill from their mouth, they wake up, gasping for air.
I should not have made you go before me. I'm not gonna follow that. That was
All right,
so
Control
cool.
Z.
Go back. Okay, my dream was about a hot dog stand. It's great. Don't worry about any of that. Okay, I got it. Okay, so dang, everyone can just appreciate that. Oh, you guys are all so cool. I'm so glad we're playing this game together. All right, Sun Dragon. My dream is like what is Leona's character's name?
Sapphire.
Like Sapphire's dream, it is a dream of the present. So I dream of great ambitions left unaccomplished, or injured pride that seeks redress. And what am I gonna pick for my words? I could have thought of this earlier, but I was so spellbound by all of your cool stuff. So I think, ooh, that's really weird and sad, so I guess I gotta do it. Okay, so my dream inspiration words are going to be chain and hatchlings. And I think that Forge is dreaming, and in her dream she is down in the like caves where the dragon nests are. I think that we've got big like communal nests with like lots of different nests and eggs just sort of sitting all around together, and it's kind of nice and cozy in these big caverns. And as she's going around, she's seeing all the different eggs, and they're all like different colors and different beautiful textures and stuff. The little dragon eggs, and then they start to hatch, and like weirdly, all of them are starting to hatch at once. So there's like this whole chorus of little cracklings as the hatchlings start to bust out of their eggs, and then she sees that like you see like a little nose just poking out through the egg and like pushing the shell off. And then as it's trying to poke out, there is like this chain, this very like sort of grim looking like rusty chain that comes out of the wall and like goes across, and another one goes across, and another one goes across, and they're like binding this little snout so that it can't get out of the egg. And she's like looking around horrified, and all of the eggs are just surrounded by these chains that are keeping them from breaking out and keeping the little dragons from getting out of them. And then she wakes up. I told you it was gonna be sad.
I'm not crying, you are.
Oh.
Put those words right next to each other in the book. I just made a trap for my future self. Ooh. All right, well, we can write down some little notes in our dream journals, which you will see. You already all have this going on. Good. So that'll be just to the right of your character. Oh, mine's in all caps, which, I mean, fair, honestly, because hatchlings trapped in eggs by scary chains should, in fact, be all in caps, because that, yikes. All right. So, now that we have done that, we are in the open world section of our game, where we can just do whatever the heck we want. So what we'll do next is whoever wants to go first, going back to your table of contents, can pick a game, pick who they want to play it with, and then play it. If that's a little too paradox of choicey, I often like starting with a dance because dances are really fun and great. We could let the audience vote. I don't know. We can do whatever we want.
Audience is gonna hurt us if we do that.
It'll be like Too Much Light Makes the Baby Go Blind. That show where you just like the audience calls out a number, and whatever number they call out, you have to do the play that's associated with that number.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah. Everyone go look up the Neo-Futurist Society.
I feel like we could do a conversation over food.
For sure.
Also good. Yeah.
And then you can maybe scroll down to that one, which is on your page 21. And we should all go down and look at it. so we can familiarize ourselves, and then you will pick which players you would like to be playing that game with you, which could be one other person or it could be all of us, whatever you want.
I want it to be all of us. Salt.
Perfect. So, since you are running this game, I'll take a break from my facilitator hat, and you can read us out the setup and sort of run the little game.
All right. Sorry if this is awkward.
If it is, that's my fault.
I am awkward in general. So the setup for this is discuss with your chosen players how you came to be eating and conversing together. Was this meal prepared or hunted? By whom? Is it sized for the appetites of humans, dragons, or both?
And we can go through those bits sort of one at a time, answering them.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you think we came to be eating and conversing?
I think we all felt like the summoning presence of the eclipse of whatever, like, of everything that's going to happen, and we all just kind of gathered, like, based off of like history, because I mean we're old as hell, we know what's going on. So I think that's kind of how we gathered. Is it's like, okay, we're trying to figure out what this means, but I think that we all get there thinking we're the chosen one, and then there's 3 other people, and it's like, what the fuck?
Drawn to a place, and right.
Yeah,
yes,
and so
there are
you're like,
multiple
I'm the chosen one. Heck yeah, I get what? What? Damn it! And so I think, and especially because we have 2 sun dragons, I think that's just a funny way to set that up too.
Yeah, for sure. So what does it look like, this place that we're in?
It's like a forest meets a dining hall.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still very naturey. We're in this it's not a grove, what is it? Like a meadow almost.
Ooh.
Like very Twilight, like the baseball scene from Twilight, like that. So it's this big open space, but it's surrounded by trees, but it's still open. It's or Hunger Games, however you want to think about it, but it's enclosed by trees. And there's food in abundance everywhere. I want to say it's a little bit of both, like hunted and like prepared, but like I don't know who did that. Gods, I don't know. I don't question it. She just carries an orange with her, so she's just kind of like, okay.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's just there. We don't know who did it.
Yeah, and so I think that's kind of how that gets set up. Is it's like she walks into one place, and then like a few minutes later, like the rest of you show up, and I'm like, hello?
Is it sized for the appetites of humans or dragons or both?
I think it's sized for whatever form you're in.
Ooh. Maybe
So
like...
I guess both. So Moxie is still in her dragon form. She didn't really see a reason to switch down since she knows this is sort of more of like a mystical thing. So she was like, well, I guess, show up come as you are kind of a thing. So she goes as a dragon, and she's just chilling and eating some fruit and just kind of peeling off the layers of like citruses and stuff and just munching on oranges with like her talons.
Awesome. So next part, to start, we will ask each other some questions. Do you want to read those ones out?
Sure. So what do you look like right now, and how dragonish are you? I guess the first one will go to Sapphire.
Okay. So Sapphire right now looks like she's got a very kind of human looking body at the moment. But she's chosen to keep her face very dragonish. So you can still see like her dragon self, and you can see like the colorful scales that go down her spine. You can still see those. And so she's got like some dragon elements going on, but then she's also got like blue hair, and then you've just got this kind of like blue human body going on. And yeah, she's kind of like, she's got like a very like flowy, ethereal. It's very odd for a sun dragon, but she's got some flowy, ethereal kind of vibes going on for her. Yeah, I think that's what she looks like.
Nice.
Yeah, so kind of half dragonish.
Um, I feel like the next one to get there would probably be Elegy.
Mm. Yeah, Elegy is in like physical form, because they are trying to get used to being on this planet right now. They've been among the stars for so long, and so their physical form, um, it's very aquatic. They're more serpentine. I mean, all dragons I think are inherently like serpentine anyway, but like a little more so, like a little more long. The wings, they still have wings, but they're like more like manta shaped, sort of like spread out. They're very like delicate and lithe. They don't look like they should support their weight, but they're more like fluid. It's like lots of rigid like spines coiling back along the head and along the body, sort of like an eel or like an oarfish. Um, and physically, they still have the markings of being a void dragon. So everything is iridescent, right? It's almost like you're looking at um, like a stone, like a precious stone, the way that it like glints and reflects, and at the same time, like you're looking at nothing. That is to say, the idea of nothing. Like there is a physical form there, but sometimes you just sort of forget that there's like actual geometry behind everything. It's just not like you're looking at a moving GIF of like the sky. Um, with occasional lines for where like muscles and body parts should be. Um, so that's what they look like.
And then Forge.
All right. I think Forge is probably in her like all the way or like 99% human form. And I think she comes in, she's been walking across like sort of a deserty area to get here. So I think the camera sort of first comes in as she's doing that, and she's dragging behind her like this big, heavy metal like war hammer. Like her arm is back, and it's just dragging a furrow in the sand. There's probably no reason for her to do this. Like it's not even that heavy, but she's just doing it for style points or whatever. And I think that as a human, she still doesn't look like crazy human, like the same way that Sapphire was blue. I think that Forge is very like sort of an ash gray color. Um, and I think, yeah, feel free to X this out, but for some reason, the first thing that comes to mind is that she's just like naked. She's just been walking across the desert naked, dragging her hammer.
I would have put it past her.
Like you do. And she has, I think that her hair is like, sort of almost looks like it's like some lava that has like bubbled out of her head and then like gone down a little bit and cooled. So it's got this very like, smooth, like rocky kind of look. And her eyes are like bright orange, sort of like just like liquid fire rolling around in her sockets. So
How long is her hair? Is it like Lady Godiva covering her dragon titties, or is it like?
I think it's very short. So yeah, the camera gets a real eyeful apparently, but it's just like just up to her head. It'll probably grow longer at like dramatically appropriate moments.
Okay. For Moxie, she's awkwardly in between too. She got there as a dragon, and like while she's eating, and then she sees Sapphire, and that's when she starts like morphing. She's like, ah, shit, and she's like, ah, fuck. So she's like eating and like trying to quickly like morph into human form, or at least as close to it as possible to kind of try and blend in. And so Moxie's hair is like pale white, like Goblet of Fire, Draco Malfoy, pale white. And it's half curly, half wavy hair. And it almost looks like there's glitter. And it's just like the metaphor for like stars, basically. So it's just her hair almost looks like it has glitter in it. And so it's a bit longer. It's almost like right above her chest. And so she switches kind of more into human form as like you guys get there, because she's like fuck 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 fuck, and she kind of forgot about her tail.
Oh,
So she has a tail,
yes.
but so why are you calling me out in chat? And so she's just like fuck 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 fuck, and then she's like okay I'm good, and then her tail like was almost sentient and just like curls around to like grab a few more things of food for her, and she's like shit, but like by that point like you're already there. And she's like well, her eyes are actually very very dark black. Like she has human eyes, so it's not even like they switched into reptile. Her eyes stay as like a human eye would, so her irises are just very 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 dark. And if it hits the sun just right, then like you can kind of see again the same kind of like glitter or specks that you see in her hair. It's also in her eyes. It's the moon dragons have like a natural like just like a moon dust kind of aspect, so it's just kind of that same sort of like ashy gray look. And she kind of just morphs into like very pale, ethereal kind of like white girl hasn't seen the sun in like a year and a half kind of thing. And so like that's her. And so I think as she like as you guys get closer, she's just like shit, and she just looks at her tail.
So good. So I guess we already know what your mood is.
Awkward. She's hot, but she's awkward as hell.
Beautiful.
And so I think her mood, as she's looking at all of you, she kind of just scans, and she really focuses on Elegy, because she's just like, huh? and she's like, she obviously like she knows of void dragons and she knows of y'all's like physical beings, but she's just like, why did they pick that? Like, and not even judgy, she's just trying to figure out like
What's your deal? Yeah.
like your physical connection, like why you picked this specifically, like what this means to you kind of a thing. And she's just like, ah. So, and I think that's where she's trying to figure out like your mood as well, is she's just like, what, like how are you feeling? Like, does this feel awkward to you? Like does this physical like shell feel weird? And so
That sounds like you're asking me what my mood is and how you can tell.
yes.
Elegy, I think, is curious about everything and a little nervous, but not about this form. This form is like it's known to them. How you can tell what they're thinking is that they're bioluminescence, obviously. So there's these ridges and like pips underneath their skin that are the way that like some fish are, transparent, and you can see like the little lights that are underneath them along the spine. And so these like dappled patterns of color keep like pulsing down their body, like a jellyfish sort of, and they're thrumming at this particular pattern that's like sort of in line with a heartbeat that's like a little bit faster, like a little thump 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 thump, but like physically they're like two sets of eyes that are here and here, are just like taking everything in. There's sort of a calm demeanor to everything, and there's like an ambience around them that's sort of like chimes, like massive wind chimes, like low thrumming ones that just have this like sort of stillness to them, that follows them as they like slowly approach and look around at things. So they're like curious and like a little uncomfortable about seeing the world in a different way, but not about anyone in particular.
And I think after that she's gonna look at Sapphire and it's just kind of like, oh fuck, she's hot. and just like like kind of panic. And the same thing is just she's like, okay, like how does she feel about this? Like I was here, and then there's Elegy, and then the naked one. Like how are you feeling about everything?
I think Sapphire is actually pretty like excited. I think she's looking around very eagerly. I think she sees your tail and it's like, oh, nice tail, and like you can just kind of see like all these different colors like dancing around on her spine, and like it goes up the top of her head, so you can kind of see like on the back of her head and stuff when she like turns and stuff like that. Yeah, so I think her mood is just very like excited and curious and vibrant, and she's just kind of very happy to be here and is just like, okay, cool, like whatever this is, like I'm game for anything really.
You said that your dragon specifically, like her mood is shown through her scale pattern, right? Like the
Yeah,
color changes like that. So,
yeah.
like, what color would that be?
I think I want to say like a really sunny yellow, like a really really sunny yellow, not like a golden yellow, just like super like
Yellow.
buttercuppy yellow.
And Lady Godiva, your turn. How do you feel?
Yeah, I think that as Forge is coming up, you can tell that she looks like sort of frustrated and bored, like she's just come all the way here and like what the heck is this? So she sort of like hups her warhammer up and it like thumps onto her shoulder really heavily, and she just kind of like looks around at everyone, a little bit uh kind of coldly, but in a hot way. Does that make sense? and and
Tsundere.
yeah, exactly. And I think that she just like takes a breath in, and you can see like her as she breathes in, like it's almost like you can see the outline of her lungs inside of her chest as like a red glow, and then the red sort of like rushes up into her head, and then she like huffs her breath out of her nose as like a snort, and two like sort of little eruption clouds that are crackling with lightning come out of it. Uh, yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Yes,
Um,
that's so good.
so moving on to the next part of that is it says during the scene anyone can ask questions about the setting and the occasion and circumstances, and we've pretty much done that. So who sits where?
That is a good question. So the next thing we have conducting the conversation on the next column there. If you want to read that bit out, or
Sure.
you can deputize someone else to do it.
It says take turns. The person with the lowest social standing takes the first turn. If this isn't clear, have another player choose who goes first at whim. On your turn, choose one or more conversational partners and choose an action. And that can be asking a topical question, engaging in improv combo, or pass and then just kind of mutter about the food, or you can just leave the conversation. And to end the conversation completely is it's either when everyone has passed in a row or when everybody has left the conversation but one person. So I feel like social standing might actually be elegy.
Yeah, definitely as an outsider. I think I want to ask a topical question to everyone. So Elegy has arrived and is like looking at everything, and circles the food, but doesn't take anything yet, and doesn't sit. Just continues to sort of slither around the circle. And the topical question I want to ask is: I hope to find common ground with you about being chosen. Can I? As a is your intent, Alex, with this to be like, I just ask the question, or can I throw in a little role play on top of that?
Yeah, throwing in role play on the front and back of the question is where the juice of the game is for sure.
Yeah. Sweet.
And other people can sort of respond back and do their own little bits of role play as well.
Right on. Yeah.
So
So
the prompts
Elegy
are for
is
inspiration.
Elegy is like circling, and when they speak, it sounds like all those handpans playing at once. But I think it also sounds like a voice being vocoded through those, so it's like a echoing metallic like chorus in your minds that you can, even though it's music, you understand the words of the song. Um, I was called here by a force. The time comes, the eclipse once again. Um, and yet there are others I was not expecting. Forgive me if I am intruding. I have been, we have been away for so long. This world is no longer ours, and yet we have returned to witness the event, to be a part of it. If it is the will of the Sky Mountain that each of our clans is to represent, perhaps it would be prudent if we introduced ourselves and why we believe we are called here.
That was so diplomatic. That was great. Forge doesn't say that. She's a jerk. Uh, I think, yeah, man, I am a big jerk. So I think as I'm hearing this beautiful telepathic speech, I just say, for someone who doesn't even talk, you talk too much. And I reach down and get like a haunch of meat and bite into it.
Nice.
I think Sapphire will say, "No, no, you're welcome. Welcome back. Uh I don't know why I was called here, but it's nice to meet all of you." And her breath is what is it again? I just forgot. It's good fortune. So like as she breathes, like she walks past like a leaf and like a branch, and then like a flower like grows on the leaf.
That's so cool.
Um, Moxie's just gonna be like, "Hi, I'm Moxie. Um, you're beautiful," and um, she's just kind of like she's queen of the awkward, so she's just sort of like, I don't know. I just keep having these really weird dreams, and I just thought that was like a call for me to be here. But I don't see why there shouldn't be more than one. I mean, who knows what's gonna happen at the eclipse? Maybe we need help. The last dragons that did this, I mean, nobody's heard from them since. So it's anybody's guess. I don't see why we can't work together. She just kind of looks at Forge and is just like,
Pointedly. I don't know why we can't work together. Great.
and she's gonna, again, because she knows how to temperature manipulate her breath, she's gonna take up also like a piece of meat and just go, and it's just gonna cook it, and she's just gonna eat it.
That's great. So going around our virtual table clockways, it'll be my turn next, and then Megan's turn, and then Leona's turn, and then back to Simon. So let's see what I'm gonna do next. I think I am. We'll bring up a conversation topic. So. Yeah, I'll make an assertion regarding the Sun Dragon's custodianship of the world. So I think I'll say, yeah, you really think you're gonna come here and change the world? Like, you know that we already did that, right? Like, the world is good. We fixed it. So I'm just making that assertion to Moxie.
I mean, there's nothing saying the world can't change. Change.
Yeah, but like, can it get better? This is pretty much. I look over at Leona like, come on, the world rules, right?
Uh, yeah.
Or at Sapphire.
That's okay. Yeah. I quite like it here. Um, and did you say your name, by the way? I'm Sapphire.
She rolls her eyes, which is very dramatic because her eyes are made out of liquid fire, and says, "If you must know, I'm Forge." No, she uses her full name.
Oh.
If you
Okay.
must know, and I think introducing herself makes her, you have to be a little bit polite as you're formally introducing yourself. So she says, "The Forge's ominous rumble," and she like sweeps her hammer around and bows over it,
I am
which knocks some food off the table.
she who shines like sapphire, and she'll do like a little curtsy. Um, don't don't be don't be so harsh. It's nice to meet everyone.
Fine.
I mean,
People.
there is nothing wrong with change, and things can always change for the better. I mean, or for the worse, as some things have happened back home. But like, there's nothing saying we can't make it better, and hopefully, I mean, who knows? Maybe through all of this, I can show you some of the stuff we've been working on over on the moon, and you might like it, and you might use it.
Nice, that's cool.
And I'm not saying you have to like me, but like, I feel like we should be able to work together.
How do I respond to that? Let's see. Have you introduced yourself with your full name yet? I don't think so. So
No,
she
I
she
haven't.
says, well, if you want me to pay attention to you, you might as well introduce yourself.
Oh, whoops. I'm really bad about that. Hi, I'm Moxie Riella of the Moon Shadow, but you can call me Moxie.
Moxie Riella, pleased to meet you.
And with that, she's gonna kind of look at Elegy and be like, What was your name again?"
Elegy is like finally stopped circling, at watching everyone else move. Like they are taking cues from everyone else. They like seat somewhere like at the edge, like almost away from everyone, but still clearly part of the circle. Um, when we sailed across the stars, I was called an elegy for a forgotten dream from a slumber yet to come.
How beautiful. I'm gonna call you Elegy, okay?
If that is acceptable to you.
Is it okay with you?
I confess I have not had experience with my physical form in some time, and the customs of our people are unfamiliar to me. This world and our kind are not as I recall them. But if it makes you comfortable, you may call me what you wish.
Okay. Well, hi. Nice to meet you, Elegy.
Beautiful. All right, so if let's see, that was my turn, right? No, whose turn was that? Yeah. So now we're over to Megan.
She. She's gonna keep trying to talk to Forge, primarily just to like be like stop being a dick.
Fair.
And she's really gonna try really hard to just kind of get you to like chill. And she really just is. She's gonna continue the previous conversation a little bit and piggyback off of it and just be like, so yeah, I had a dream, and she was like, keep talking about like the dream that she had and everything about the process, and she's like, but I couldn't figure out what the barrier was, and I figured maybe after getting the summons here that maybe the barrier was that I was doing this alone.
Well, that's so sweet.
And she's gonna look at Forge and Sapphire and Elegy and be like, maybe you're the reason I can cross the barrier. But that's obviously only gonna work if like we can work together.
Cool. So Forge says, well, that's not what my dream was like at all.
Well, what was yours about?
It was, I don't know, weird. There were a lot of eggs, like hatchling eggs, underground, and they were trying to break out, but they kept getting wrapped up by chains. It was pretty disturbing, actually. And you can see that her like eyes sort of like cool down a little bit. The color in them kind of dims as she remembers it.
That's sad. That's a sad dream. What do you think it has to do with the eclipse, though?
I don't know yet. It keeps getting a little bit longer every time. You know, at first it was just the eggs, and then they were hatching, and then the chains. So
Oh,
I'll figure it out.
what about either of you? And she looks at Sapphire and then Elegy. So,
Well, mine is I'm lost amongst all of the dragons. There's so many of us, and I'm looking for someone or some way to bring everyone together. Maybe you're right. There is something, a reason why we're all here. I'm not sure.
well, maybe we can help each other find the way,
That
and
sounds
hopefully you won't feel as lost.
that sounds nice.
And she looks at Elegy. Do void dragons dream?
My name implies, to some degree, yes, that is still true of our kind, though our journey across the stars has changed us much. We have retained at least one link to a world beyond one that our kind can access, that of dreams and slumber. I had wished to see part of our world one more time. I had a vision of it in my sleep. The reef, the coral reef that once stretched along the length of this world, which I had, well, perhaps it was foolish of me to think our planet would be the same as it was when we left, but you have made it better, I see. And, well, when I was young, more than a hatchling, I had went to visit it and heard its song. I do not know why. I have not thought of it in a very long time, but it was there and it will not leave me. It pursues me. Perhaps it has something to do with this barrier or the eclipse, or perhaps nothing at all, as many dreams often do.
Well, I believe all dreams have a meaning and a purpose in our lives, and they do lead us to pathways and circumstances that we might not have otherwise thought about.
Or they lead us to walls.
Well, like I said, with teamwork, maybe I can break the wall. But
And I think I give a little bit of a dismissive look, like, you don't look so tough.
I think Sapphire nudges Forge and it's just like, remember I told you to actually be nice.
And I think I actually say aloud, like, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it.
so does that mean you'll help? I'll help you if you help
Depends
me.
on what you mean by help. Do I have to sit around and talk about my feelings more?
No.
Is this a wall that I can hit with a big hammer? Because I've got an extensive collection of big hammers. I could actually, I mean, I'm not going to lend it to you, but like you could watch while I use it.
I'm having to fight back the lewd filter.
I'm just gonna right-click save as.
Moxie's just gonna be kind of stunned by that because she's also just like,
I think Sapphire actually, like, you don't know where she's procured it from, but it's somewhere within her very ethereal outfit. Pulls out one of the erotica from her hoard and goes, "Here," and just shoves it up Forge's chest and is like, "You need to lighten up."
That's great.
I love you. I think with that I'll end my turn. So passing it over to Leona.
Okay. Let's see. Let's do a topical question.
And we can definitely sort of like, fast forward around or do however we want for the conversation to make sense.
Let's see. I noticed something unusual about you. What? Okay. She'll kind of direct this at Moxie, and she'll be like, "Your tail is really pretty. It's really nice. In fact, you're all very beautiful. And just saying."
Moxie just kind of squeaks.
And then she feels really awkward and just like sticks her face in her food and is like, "Never mind. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything."
You're really pretty too.
Thanks.
It has been a very long time since I've seen our kind in tangible form. We are not accustomed to it. It is easier to travel without a burden, the burden of a body. But seeing it here, and obviously as chosen beings, we are perhaps exemplars of our kind. It is striking to see such forms again, and in such, well, unique shapes.
Nice. And I think Forge kind of, looks up at you because I assume you're big in your dragon form.
Oh yeah.
And she says, "I know you're not from around here, but if you wanted to, you could, size match a little bit," gesturing around at the rest of us who are in our human forms.
Yeah, Elegy looks down. Forgive me. I did not realize that would upset you or anyone else. I have, our travel has changed us. Well, I confess I have not spoken with the rest of my kin, but I can no longer change my form. It's like very hard for them to say that, and like you can see the bioluminescence is like really intensely pulsing, and the chords that they are speaking are like they're all minor, sustained like ninths. Like there's a lot of like dissonance in it, and they say I can become nothing if that is easier.
No.
And they like the physical form just dissipates, and becomes just like a mass of like stardust in the shape of a dragon that sort of like ebbs and flows. But that can change. It's just like this little like wind of stars. That's like where they were.
Oh man, I think Forge looks very like shocked and embarrassed. Like you can see her cheeks like flare up like there's sort of a cherry red glowing. And then she says, "No, please, the one who was being rude here was me." And she like puts her arm down onto like the big stone slab of the table, and then it just like whoop, grows up to dragon size. She puts her other arm up, whoop, and then like as she like leans back, she just surges up into her dragon form, sort of like reclining forward like that. I think as a dragon, she is like an even darker gray because she's a pretty light, sort of ashy gray normally, but she's like a very dark, charcoaly gray. Um, and her scales are like big, sort of like rounded scales going along her arms and her back and stuff. And she's got like a not like a super long serpentine body like you do. It's a little bit more stocky in her dragon form, and her
Yeah.
wings are sort of like folded up along her back. And she says, and her dragon like throat clearing is really loud, and says that you please, by all means, however you feel comfortable.
I confess I am more comfortable this way, but perhaps it is too much too soon. And they revert back to that physical form, this like massive iridescent aquatic dragon.
Uh,
Um,
oh man, I think actually as you're like Forge just feels really like trapped because she's like, great, now I'm making you be uncomfortable, and she's like, uh I'm gonna go. I gotta go. And she just flaps her wings and takes off. So I'm gonna leave the conversation
Aw.
because it was too awkward for me.
too real.
Don't you wish you could grow dragon wings and fly out of conversations sometimes?
Mood.
Yes. 24/7.
I think Sapphire will just say to Elegy, regardless of your form, you're very beautiful. You should take pride in who you are.
Yeah, Elegy like looks back and forth and like takes a little bit of the food, like gently licks their draconic lips, and says, "Thank you. We do not speak of that often. It is nice to hear that. Um, it was also nice to meet all of you, but I must. I have a lot to think about for now. I look forward to the next time that I meet you." And looks at both of them like for a couple of seconds, and then they too leave the conversation.
Well,
Moxie's just sort of there, like picking at an orange again. It's just like,
uh, well, I guess that leaves two of us. I think I wouldn't do like one more thing. Um, I want to do. I'm curious if you're flirting with me or not. I want to do that one and just be
I
like,
freaking knew you were going to.
um, um, well, are you? I mean, do. It's gonna be terrible too. She's gonna be so awkward about it. She's gonna be like, "Do you like sun dragons as a moon dragon?"
I'm I'll admit my experience with them is not very bountiful. I have met a few that I like, but yeah, they're good. You're
Okay.
good. They're good.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's cool. Well, I
She's
guess
gonna just hand you an orange like mid conversation too. It's like, do you want a piece?
yeah, thank you. And she'll take it and she'll be
I
like,
grew it myself.
that's amazing. And and then she'll kind of be like, oh no, I've shown my card. Like I've shown my hand. Like oh no, like this is too much. And she'll be like, well, thank you for the beautiful fruit. I should probably go too. And
Oh.
she'll kind of scurry away. Just the most awful awkward thing.
And then she's just gonna kind of sit there and be like, what the hell? So yeah, I think from there is just scene. Like, well, I can cut it there. Just because
Perfect.
otherwise she's sort of just stuck.
Yep. Everyone has left the conversation but one.
Story of my life.
Oh, that was great. What a good scene.
Fun.
Super
Yay.
good.
All right, and that was your scene, right, Megan?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. So I've marked down on our sheet that you've taken your turn. At this point in the game, we don't have a particular turn order, just whoever has an idea for a scene can go next. And then once we all have gone, then you can go again, basically. So nobody goes
Okay.
like before everyone else
More
has
than
also
once.
taken a turn.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Should we do break?
Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking of leaving the conversation.
Yeah. So we're gonna do break. I think you have the break outro of what needs to be said just if we go to break. I believe it's just a little thing for roll 20.
Yes. Let me grab that. Doot. I will thank our patrons. We want to give a quick shout out to our amazing patrons, especially those in the host with the most tier for making this channel possible. So huge love to, and then it says read the list provided.
I've got it.
Oh, good.
It is Jack C, Donald G, Nerdy T, and Michelle E. So thank you for being our wonderful Patreon sponsors.
And for all having rhyming names.
Yeah. Perfect. Is there anything else there?
Boop. As we head to break, why don't you head over to roll20.net/start/WTTP and sign up for your free account today. Over 4 million people use Roll20's virtual tabletop to power their favorite games, and with modules galore on the marketplace, you'll definitely find something for your group to enjoy.
Perfect. All right, and with that, we're going to head to break. Everyone wait, bye. BRB. Okay, one sec.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. If you get a second during break, you should check out one of our amazing sponsors. We're now proudly sponsored by Roll20, the best virtual tabletop for all your role-playing needs. Over 4 million people use Roll20's virtual tabletop to power their favorite games. And with more modules than you can shake a stick at on their new revamped storefront, you'll definitely find something for your group to enjoy. Sign up today by clicking the link below or heading to roll20.net/start/WTTP. Tabletop Loot is an amazing place to get your dice bags, dice boxes, and more. And now you can get 15% off your purchase at tabletoploot.com by using the code WTTPDICE at checkout. Tabletop Loot. Your party starts here. While you're at it, check out our so awesome merch store, So Nerdware. So Nerdware is the place to find all your Welcome to the Party merch and other amazing stuff too. Head on over to sonerdware.com and use the code WELCOME at checkout to get 10% off your next purchase. So Nerdware. It's what the nerds wear. Devin Rue, the amazing mistress of maps, has kindly supported the channel since the beginning and provides graphics for many of our streams. Head on over to rueinc.com to check out some of the best fantasy cartography on the web. Our Patreon supports the creators and producers of the channel by providing Roll20 subscriptions, cost coverage for video hosting, and more. If you want to support the channel while getting podcasts a week early, gaming articles that are published on Patreon first, a shout out during our break, and more, head on over to patreon.com/welcomepartyrpg and throw us a buck or $5. And last, but certainly not least, help out the party. Subs and bits not only support the stream, but also every 500 bits or a tier 1 sub gives a player or DM of your choice a reroll or system equivalent, and every 1000 bits or tier 2 sub gives a player or DM of your choice a crit or system equivalent. Thanks again for hanging out with us today. The game will be back in just a few minutes.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get our ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Dragonhearts. This is the first time this game has ever been streamed, so any times where I realized that something was supposed to be written down on paper in front of us and then it isn't is the fault of me, the creator. Hopefully it will work just great though. So we have just finished our conversation over food, and next we are going to have whichever player would like to grab a scene, pick which of the games they want to from their table of contents, and pick who they want to play it with and dive right in.
What about a dance?
Dances are so good.
That's good.
Let's do a dance. Let's do that.
Perfect.
Dance.
It'll be on our page 19.
Right.
And you can either run the setup or deputize someone else to do it.
I can very briefly run the setup. I want everyone involved in this one. So how is it that we came to be dancing together, and is this dance space suitable for your human forms, dragon forms, or both?
I want to know where this is at.
Yeah.
Are we in like Town Hall Dragon Edition or Town Hall Human Edition? Kind of thing. Like,
yeah.
is this meant for dragon form where we're massive, or is this meant more for like a human setting?
I think it's meant for dragon form.
Yeah, and that's the most polite for elegy. You probably wouldn't have invited them somewhere where they couldn't fit.
You could have, absolutely.
You could have.
Awkwardly in
But
the ceiling.
Sapphire's actually polite, unlike
Right.
Forge. So
I think I invited everyone. I think I was like, I'd like to invite you all to a dance at like my estate.
nice.
Ooh.
I don't know.
All right, bougie.
I don't know.
Well, they are the colonizers here. They've
Oh.
declared what the planet is.
You can say
Yep,
that at a
yep.
BIMPOC table.
That's true.
Exactly. So, what's your estate look like? It has
Keep
a
asking
big
her questions
dragony
while she's
ballroom?
eating.
It's true.
How do I?
I don't think there's. It's not really like a dragon cave. It's more like there's like a cave like entrance, but inside it's not. There's a space where like you can see the horde of erotica, and there's like books, and there's videos, and there's just like there's all kinds of media, and it's just like there's a big pile in one corner that she's kind of laid stones and stuff around to try and protect it. But this big open like clearing that's like you kind of come through the cave, and then it's just a clearing, and you can kind of see her living quarters. It's like, I guess, the equivalent of a studio apartment.
But for dragons.
For dragons. Why not?
Perfect. Every dragon studio apartment must have a dance floor.
Yeah. Like, it's just this big open space.
But it's like, it's simple, right? It's
It's
understated.
simple.
It's
It's
not like this big grand ballroom. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. It's her
That's-
estate because it's just big in size, but that's about it.
right. It looks like a ballet studio on the inside.
Yeah.
Nice. Is it just the four of us, or is anyone else here?
Just the four of us.
That's so cool. Here, I just want my friends to come over for a dance. People should do that more often.
Well, and it's like, she's so curious about everyone because everyone, was like a chosen person. So she's like, well, I want to hang out with them more, so let me invite them for a dance.
So since we're back in dragon form, she kind of just as Moxie walks through like the entryway, she's gonna just kind of poof back into dragon form. So it's literally like a little like magic act almost. So it's like poof, and then it's just like glitter almost, like just like, again, it's that same shimmery kind of, it's not glitter, it doesn't stick in everything, but it looks like glitter. It's her little stardust, and She's just back in her silver dragon form. She's still actually, ironically, for some reason, she really likes her hair. So she's just a dragonborn with short white curly hair.
Cute.
Cute.
So she's adorable. And um everything else about her is still like as I had described it. So she's still very, very light silvery gray, with like sparkles that just show up every once in a while, like little flecks. And she's kind of, it's not quite a robe, but it's like one of those kind of like a dress almost. And it's the ones where it's like it ties around and through like a loop on the side. So it's literally just like one giant piece of fabric and it's just like tied. Um and it's very sheer. It's almost like a negligee more than like a dress. But like it's still just, it's very white, and it's similar. It looks just very night sky-esque. So it's just flowy and light.
That's cool. I love that you're wearing that on your dragon body. That's rad. Do you have a word to describe that from our little list of words? How would you call that dress?
Um, Depending on who you ask, it might be scandalous. Excuse me. And it might also just be a little like eclectically understated. Because it's more negligee, it's very kind of see-through-ish, and the pattern on it itself is just different. It's just different. So I guess it's a fashion choice as well. So it would be fashionable. It's something that's normal back on the moon, and so that's just kind of what she's wearing.
Mm-hmm. Nice. I think that Forge's dragon clothing is very traditional for like her particular type of volcano-esque sun dragon, which, just because this is the silliest idea I can think of, yeah, but the formal wear is like she has gone in her dragon form and gone and like dove into some lava and come up and just sort of let it like flow and harden on her. So she's wearing this like almost sort of armory layer of rock that's like going on and sort of flowing down, across her legs and haunches and whatever, to make it's like sort of dress esque, but it's like hard because it's rock, so it can't really move. So I think she like, it sort of limits the ways she can dance and things to very like traditional sort of sun dragon steps of however they do dancing in the like archaic form. So I think it's a little traditional and a little archaic. Yeah.
What about elegy?
Yeah, so the word that I'm going with is archaic. Before they left, I think the Void Dragons like left themselves caches of things that they could come back to as like memories of the time before. Like, here's our time capsule. This is what our society was. And so, having returned, they're this sort of like still this star-like water dragon with frills and the bioluminescence and everything. But now they're wearing sort of like the way that you look at tritons in fantasy art, like triton punk, I think is the word I'm going for, like shoulder pads that are made of carved shell, like a chest piece that's made of like woven coral and kelp, still like wet, drifting down, like pieces of jewelry that are like baubles that still have they're baubles of water that have become magically encapsulated, so there's no like glass or anything. It's just the water suspended, and inside those baubles on the necklace are fish, just like swimming through the different baubles back and forth, things like that. So it's this very old style of fashion that a lot of dragons, or many dragons, wore when they were in a water planet, before things changed, and so it makes this is something that they had before, and it makes them feel comfortable. but their mood, like even for as much as the clothing helps them feel comfortable, their mood is still very uncomfortable. Less curious than at the meal, more like I want to be here, but I'm scared of being here. And it's that the bioluminescence has like changed to these very harsh colors. It's like reds and purples and oranges. Um,
Nice.
I think Sapphire is. I think Sapphire is the one who, in dragon form, just lets it all hang out, and I think she's not wearing anything. I think she's just like au naturel as a dragon. She's like, no, I'm in my dragon form. Like I'm all dressed up. Like you got all these colorful scales on me. Like, what more do you need?
What color are her scales?
I think she's got kind of a like definitely some like lots of blue. She is Sapphire, but then also some pinks and blues, pinks and reds, and like so you get like these odd specks of color. But then of course like her spine changes color to every color. But you've got like, this like I don't want to say like a polka dot dragon, but like almost a polka dot dragon.
I love it. I
She's
love
got
it.
some variation going on, yeah. And
Good.
we can do what our moods are like as well. I think Forge looks yeah, I think she's very like proud and like I look so good in like her weird kind of terrible thing, but she is like she thinks she's so cool.
I think Moxie is very much like she's excited, but she's calm, which kind of reflects in her hair. So it's like when she's in her human form, it's really it kind of shifts on its own, like lunar wind would. Like it's just it has its own movements when she's calm, and then like right now because she's kind of nervous because Forge is an asshole, but like she's really here like for Sapphire, and then like she's really excited because Elegy's here. Like her hair is just kind of like Medusa-esque kind of curling. Like it's just kind of moving all on its own and it's just doing its thing. And it like some spots are really calm and some parts are just like ah! And the other parts are just like just gently flowing. And so like her hair is just a hot mess. But it's usually how you can tell how she's feeling is like her eyes. The more like ramped up she is, like there's more of the stardust that you can see in it almost. Like so there's more flecks. So her eyes are slightly more flecked with gray and silvers and whites. And so it's a really neat, like marbled kind of aspect. So she's kind of excited because she's really excited to see Elegy because she really likes her or likes them. And then like she's obviously like really into Sapphire and just an awkward piece of crap. So she's just like, yeah. And she's still kind of on the fence about Forge. So there's a lot of like again,
Fair.
everything is kind of in flux and she's just like emotions. So that's kind of where she's at.
That's great.
I think Sapphire has like I think she's very chill and calm. Like she's excited, but at the same time she's like she's at home, so she's in her element. So her spine is actually like bright sapphire blue.
yeah, I think I already established the like discomfort.
Yeah.
Is there like do you have the ability to play music?
That's a question. Yeah, because there probably is. I imagine if this is a dance, there's some kind of music in
Yeah.
the estate anyway. I think Elegy can sing in a way that like fills a space, but like it's a secondary function. Like you open your gills, like a fucking speaker, and music comes out. Like it vents the telepathic music, makes it audible to everyone. Like not in your mind, but like it's happening anyway. But they can still speak with their mind.
That's very
I think
cool.
that's absolutely true.
Okay. Um, Take turns asking each other questions. Each of you gets asked 3 questions in total, choosing which dancing partner for each. Take turns asking questions as the flow of the dance moves you from partner to partner. The most uninhibited dancer asks the first question, or else have another player choose who asks the first question at whim. Who is the most uninhibited dancer?
Not me. I'm very inhibited.
All right.
It might be Sapphire.
I think it is. Oh God.
Go get your freak on.
Yeah. And so she'll be like, "Oh, thank you all so much for coming. I'm so excited to have you all here." You know, she's just kind of like gushing. She's bubbling. She's so excited. There's music playing. I don't know how there's music playing, but she's somehow got music playing. I think it's just part of her dragon magic skills. And let's see. What am I supposed to be doing? I'm supposed to ask a question. I think she will ask, let's see. She will ask Forge to dance. And when as she asks Forge to dance, she will say I'm going to go for you discuss someone's fashion. And so she will say, "Oh, Forge, I really do love your outfit. It's so you."
Are you, I assume you're being genuinely complimentary there, or are you being cutting?
She's genuinely being complimentary, but
Okay.
if Forge interprets it as cutting, that would be excellent drama.
Perfect. I think that she is currently too proud to even suspect that someone might say something not nice about her fashion. So she like lifts her head up real high, sort of showing off. I think that since she made this dress by diving into lava with her whole body, it must have also covered her head at one point, and she had to like crack her head out of it. So there's sort of like a jaggedy, upward pushing, like spiky bit around where her neck is. And I think she's very pleased with that. So she sort of like preens and shows off her throat. And her head is like going up and like getting near to the ceiling as she's doing this. And she says, "Finally, someone around here who can appreciate, the glory and history of traditional outfits. Of course, I can forgive that you don't have one, since you don't have a lava lake around here."
Well, I thought it was just occasioned enough to be myself. And now she's gonna feel super awkward and just kind of like not talk for the rest of the dance.
That's great, yeah. And I think probably what is your dancing like?
Gee.
Because I think mine is very like it's really hard to dance when you're wearing like a bunch of rock without like breaking it. So I think it's a lot of like very stiff little like side steps and like hops and like crossing your legs and uncrossing them. Like it's this very weird formal dance style that is not really suited for someone's apartment hangout dance. But it's the only thing she can do, so she keeps doing it.
I think Sapphire's is a little more fluid when she kind of like, I don't know, it's very flowy and like she kind of just moves freely, like whatever she kind of wants to do. She kind of almost, because she's the most uninhibited, she kind of does whatever comes to her. She doesn't really care what anyone else thinks. She just kind of dances and does whatever, regardless of how silly it might be.
Nice. So going around, Leona asked our first question, so then we will go to Simon.
Okay. I think this is for Moxie. I lose my place in the dance. Do you let me stumble or do you draw me back into place, and how? So, like, Elegy is watching Sapphire just like wiggle, right? Like, doesn't really know what to do, sort of like isn't sure like what is this protocol, right? I haven't done this in so long, if ever. Like opens their throats to sort of like provide a little extra something, like, okay, maybe I can feel this out, and is trying to catch the tempo, but they're so unused to moving their body because they're so used to having a body that like they try to catch up, and turn, and I think maybe see like, oh, I'm actually really close to Moxie, and oh, they're looking at me. That's interesting. And like one leg goes this way and the other leg goes this way, and suddenly like they start to like spiral out of control.
So Mox is gonna kind of just hold you in place as like you're spiraling towards her, so it's just very much like an awkward like thud, and it's like, oh, hi. and she's like, do you want to dance?
Want,
I can help you.
want is a strong word, but it would be nice, I think. I'm sorry, I'm not used to doing this.
It's okay. I can help you.
You're very kind. You're very strong. Would you teach
Sure.
me?
And so Boxy's gonna take Elegy with their hands and is just gonna what kind of music is playing? Is it like 2000s hip hop R&B, like classical music? Are we doing 80s gay dance club? Like, what are we doing?
I think it is the fusion between 2000s hip hop R&B and 80s dance club. It's just like somehow melded together.
So we're gonna go with Whitney Houston. So it's very much just like sidestep and bop kind of thing, so it's not like super complicated. So she just kind of like takes your hands and like has one kind of on your shoulder, like as best as she can figure out where your shoulder is, and is just kind of like, here, like this. And so she's just dancing with you and is just kind of like, you're doing so good. Like, she's really, really encouraging. And she's like, you're doing really, really good. And ow, that was my foot, but that's okay. It's okay. And very much just like this, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's just a lot of like her helping, and it's kind of rigid and mechanic, but it's to the beat. So like Elegy kind of gets used to finding it, and then she's like, yeah, and now you're gonna do this, and like she kind of just like tries to like spin you a little bit and like spins you back in and is like, look at that, and she spins you back around and like back to the little side step. And so it's like a cute little like she's getting to help you like learn how to do this and to kind of hopefully like make you feel less uncomfortable rather, and is just kind of like really enjoying it, and like she's just loving being with you.
Nice.
So good.
Yeah, I'll put a little capstone on that. So you do the spins, and Elegy comes back in like another spin, and like they're feeling the rhythm. Like, yes, now that it is just the music, and then you let everything follow. It reminds me, we used to dance like this. May I teach you? And it's like a very intimate, like. We're water dragons. We're used to be water dragons, and so I think it's like, two like eels almost. Like you just like entwine, and Elegy like starts to do this like kind of much closer. Like, I'm very like wrapped around kind of move, and then like backs up a little bit. I'm sorry, that was a lot.
She's just gonna go like very, very like dark gray in her cheeks. And is very much just like, that was beautiful. And just kind of still, and is just kind of still like frozen, like like, oh my, like it's kind of overwhelming, but she's very much just like, I liked that. Like, I liked dancing like that. Like, and she followed very quickly. Like, she was very fast there with stuff like that. And because it was similar to dealing with like the lack of gravity on the moon. So she understands that movement and how to navigate. And so a lot of it she was kind of mimicking and was just like, oh, okay. And then like every time like our faces got really close, she was just like, like just awkwardly like freaking out, and like she kept dancing, but she's like fuck, like mentally just like freaking out. So like her eyes are going like real crazy, like just panicky, like stardust basically. And she's just like, you're a really good dancer. I really like that style. Thank you for dancing with me.
And like I think the song ends and Elegy's like, yes, maybe we will dance again, and like drifts away.
Oh, that was amazing.
Okay.
So it goes around to my turn. I think Forge has kept dancing with Sapphire, and I think this is actually going to be during your previous moment, when the two of you were like twining all sinuously together, because that was awesome. And I think that we just happened to be arranged so that like Forge is looking over Sapphire's shoulder and seeing that happen, and I lose my place in the dance. So do you let me stumble, or do you draw me back into place, and how? And the way that happens is I was like in the middle of like showing off with like a fancy little like jump wiggle thing that is like the best move that I can do wearing this weird armor dress. And I like see what's I think I jump up so that I'm like over, briefly over you, and I can see what they're doing behind us, and I'm like, what? And then I like land like really awkwardly where like the heavy edge of the dress like clongs against the ground, and like my feet are like paddling, and I'm clearly just going to like roll over onto my back, and it's going to be the worst.
As soon as you clong into the ground, Sapphire will be like, whoa, and we'll just like reach out and like yoink you back into place. And she'd be like, are you okay?
And Forge looks very embarrassed. Like she is just like glowing, pink red patches on her cheeks, which is even more obvious through the like dark scales of her dragon skin. And she very quietly, sort of with her gaze downcast, says, I might be a little overdressed for the occasion, do you think? And she like looks up at you with kind of this vulnerable look.
Oh, no, you look so lovely. And then she'll like, as she's like straightening up Forge, she'll like look over Forge's shoulder and be like, oh, ooh. And all of a sudden, all of her attention, because remember, she's the erotica horde, is looking at those two.
Oh, that's great. Nice. All right. Well,
she's like, how can I capture this moment? I need this for my horde.
Yes, that's so good. All right. Well, I don't think I fully catch on to that since you are looking over my shoulder. So I think I am comforted nonetheless. And then we will move on to Megan's turn.
God, I don't even know. I'm still reeling from what happened.
I know, right?
She's gonna. So the song changes, and at that point, like you and Sapphire are done. Elegy's kind of missed it away, and she's gonna go up to Sapphire and ask her to dance.
Yes.
And she's gonna. It's very much like slow beats, like just not quite ballady, but just kind of a slower beat than like Whitney Houston-esque. And she's just flustered. Like she's just kind of dead. Like she's still kind of reeling from everything that happened with Elegy, and so she awkwardly just giggles.
And Sapphire will kind of giggle back and say, is everything all right?
Yeah. It's just like, I'm thinking about the dance with Elegy, and it was just different. It was so different.
It was amazing. I've never seen anything like it. I honestly really loved watching it.
And she's gonna just kind of like tuck down, and it's gonna be close enough to like your face by doing that. And it's just kind of like it was just so different. And then at that moment, like she looks up at you, and it's like dead eye contact.
But different was good, right?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. See? And she'll kind of pull um I just completely lost the name for some reason. She'll pull you closer and just kind of continue dancing with you.
And now her hair is doing the usual like chaotic curling and just like flutter moment. That kind of just mimics everything that's going on in her head, and she's just like fuck 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 fuck, what do I do, what do I do, what do I do, gay, like she like she's just like like wigging out because she hadn't thought of elegy that way, but obviously like Sapphire saw that and thought of it that way, and so she's just like, should I? She just kind of stays quiet and like brings her face like closer almost. And it's like, do you turn subtly towards me a little bit more, or do you turn away?
She'll turn towards you.
And that's kind of how that goes. Is she's just like she's really trying to like push things forward, but like she's freaking out still. Like there's a lot going on in Moxie's head, and she's just like she wants to talk, but like words are just stuck. And so she's just it's very much just like she's enjoying the moment kind of thing, where she's enjoying dancing like this as well, and she's trying to process. And then after the song ends, she's just like, thanks.
You're welcome.
And then just like walks away. Like just kind of separates and goes off to a corner and finds some like random book you have on the floor, and it's just like, oh.
Good luck with that.
As if that's not going to make her any less flustered.
I know.
Considering
That's why the look was like, and that will end my turn.
Okay, so I think is that we've each done one action.
Mhm.
Am I remembering right? It's cool. So we have two more go rounds.
Did Elegy like leave?
Oh no, just like backed up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think top of the round, is it my turn again? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I think she is gonna invite Elegy to dance, and she's gonna say, Elegy, you dance so beautifully. Will you dance with me? And kind of something subtle changes across her form, like the scales on her back kind of change to like different like purples and red tones. It's still mostly sapphire, but there's some other stuff going on there too.
Interesting. Yeah, Elegy says, I'm sorry, I am not experienced the way the rest of you are, but if you are asking, then yes, I will. And they see the changes in your scales, and they're like trying to match your movements, like trying to recreate what they've just learned. But they see the scales change, and they sort of like look at them very curiously, and the bioluminescence along their body like flushes for a few moments. And as they're dancing, they get like they start to kind of crane their neck closer to you and say, it is very beautiful how you do that. I wish I could still do that.
Oh, well, thank you. And you see kind of more like pink tones show up. Um, it's I I don't honestly know how I do it. It's just something that I do. And then she'll say, "That dance you were doing earlier, did you do you would you prefer to dance that way?"
Are you asking
Yeah,
for me to show you?
if if you'd like, you don't have to, but if it makes you more comfortable.
Um, it is something I remember from long ago. I think it is special if you would let me share it.
Sure.
And so the elegy like cranes around, and as they're doing this, elegy's like really interested in those scales and in the way that they've changed. And like, may I examine your scales?
Oh, yes.
So like as they're dancing, elegy like traces a claw across like the pattern, um, and like very wistfully, like the there's a sort of like sadness in the chimes of their voice, and like a long, like a very deep yearning, um, and they're like very very gentle and very intimate with this dance, and then when the song ends, they pull back and like, thank you for sharing some of yourself with me. I'm honored to share my history with you.
Well, thank you for sharing with me. That was absolutely incredible. And all of her skills are like pinks and reds now. Just straight up blush.
Oh, that's so good. All right, next is Simon Stern.
Okay. I go to dance with Forge.
Oh boy.
I mean, Elegy doesn't see like there's a problem with anything right here.
Nope,
So like,
nope.
Elegy's like approaches Forge like, I have danced with our other friends. I would be honored to share a moment with you.
That's so sweet. And I think that she is definitely charmed by that. You know, the dance setting sort of brings out her politeness and etiquette a little bit more than the previous very casual setting. So she says, "Well, I would be honored as well," and she sort of does a little bit of a bow. Um,
Yeah, so Elegy like opens up their frills again and like begins harmonizing. And as they're doing so, they say, "I've been thinking about our dreams and yours, um, the way that we move, the way that this song echoes. Um, it reminds me of the reef. Do you remember from long ago when I was there? And it seems as though now we are similarly. It feels as though we are approaching this unknowable thing, and it calls to us the way that this music calls to us now to move our bodies, and the way that the eclipse calls for us to bring forth our voices, even though we do not know what melody or harmony to sing. Um, so I'm describing how our dance echoes my fractal dream. Do you
yeah,
listen?
yeah, for sure. I think that she is very like, nodding along and says, I never saw the reef. I think she's like, 700 or whatever. She's not all
Yeah.
that old. Uh, and so it it did sound very beautiful the way you described it. I've never actually been, underwater. Like there's just most of the water is pretty shallow on our world these days. It seems interesting. I mean, you can sort of float in lava, but I don't think it's the same. It's very viscous.
Nothing lives in lava the way that it does in water. Ours was a vibrant place long ago, and I have shared part of myself with the other two, I will with you as well if you like. I only wish that I could share what it was like to hear the music of the reef.
And she sort of like looks off and says, "Well, if everyone else has done it, then I suppose I should too. It would only be proper, right?"
It's not like I want you to do it or anything.
Yeah.
But like, if you did, I guess it would be fine.
And I think as she's turning, you can see like all up the side of her neck is like just radiating that red blush.
Yeah. And they dance.
Yeah. And
It's
fortunately,
beautiful.
this is a dance that the like neck twining is a thing I can actually do even in my super encasing
Yeah.
thing. And I think she's getting very into it and is like gets a little bit playful about it, where like, you know, we're looping around and then she like loops around the other way real fast to like try and catch you.
Ooh. Yeah, and Elegy's not expecting it. And Elegy's like, "Oh, you want to play with me in the space? Like, I'm not just like leading you along. Like, oh, we can kind of match wits."
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
I think they kind of like dart back and forth a little bit.
Cool.
Like
That's nice.
Whew.
Oh, it's good. Okay, then we are over to my turn. So I haven't danced with Moxie yet. That seems fun. So I think Forge has started to get a little more uninhibited from her incredibly inhibited start of this dance. And as she's moving up to dance with you, she's kind of like, you know, moving her head around like to the beat a little bit and stuff. And she looks a little bit nervous. And she says, yeah, she's gonna keep using your first name. She says your full name. She says, Moxie Riella, can you be honest with me about something?
Sure.
What do you think of this outfit, really? And she sort of looks down at it.
I think it suits you.
Okay, but
It's very unique and it's beautiful and it brings out the fire in your eyes.
my eyes are always fire. She sort of mutters to herself, and then she says, "Isn't unique usually what people say about something when they can't think of anything else good to say?"
That's not because I can't think of anything else. It's the truth.
I just feel a little confined, I guess. And it's been nice to see all the different ways of dancing that everyone have here. And it was when you were dancing earlier with Elegy, that was really something. You're so brutal.
She's really awkward and really intimidated by you, so she's just like, where is this going?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And she kind of gives you a look like, you're gonna make me say it, huh? And she like, fine. She like rotates her head around and looks you right in the eyes, and says, "Could you teach me how to dance too, like you were with them?"
Sure.
Okay. Well, I'll need just a second. And you hear like this like sort of like creaking, like flexing sound, because I think her wings are inside the dress. And then she like lifts up and like pushes her chest out, and then there's just this crack, and the whole dress just splits in half and like slams onto the ground on either side of her.
Well, that should be easier for you now.
Yeah, that'll be easier, I think. Yeah. So getting to my question, I think she kind of how does she do this? I think now that she is freed of this armor, which she like kicks over into a corner, she sort of like expectantly kind of like steps forward, and like her neck is sort of up near to your neck. So your mouth is close to my ear. What do you say?
She kind of doesn't. You can hear her like open her mouth to try and say something, but again, she's at a loss of words, and because she's still kind of like she can't read you.
Mm-hmm.
So
Fair.
she,
I'm giving very mixed signals.
yeah, and so she's just like,
And
you
Forge.
you dance good. Like that's kind of all she can kind of do with that, and she's just like, you dance really good, and like it's a genuine compliment, and she's still just kind of like internally.
Uh-huh. And she kind of looks at you, out of the side of her eye, looking over to you, and she says, Moxie, I thought you were going to take the lead. This is the first time she's used the familiar form of your name.
Um, so when that happens, she catches your eyes too, and when that happens, it's like the second you call her Moxie, the stardust in her eyes again, it just starts going nuts. Like it was like sort of vibraty because she was just really nervous and like kind of freaked out. And when you say that, when you call her by her other name, she just like it's kind of like she gets really embarrassed and really flustered, and she's just like, oh, okay, and proceeds to kind of actually like not quite pull, but just actually lead. And it's like, so you go like this, and then you do this, and she's explaining everything to you, and she does the same little spin she did to Elegy to you.
That's great. And you can tell that Forge like already kind of knows how to dance, but she's just letting you do it anyway.
Yeah, and I think that's when she's just kind of like, I'm surprised you wanted me to lead. Like, I know you asked me to dance and everything, and you wanted me to show you how to dance, but like, I don't know, you just seemed kind of on top of things.
And she says, and I think she kind of mulls that over for a second and gives you like a little bit of a wry look. And she says, well, I suppose I've been known to act that way under certain circumstances.
Sorry, I was trying to like not.
That's fine.
She's just
And she's
gonna
clearly
get
like teasing you to see how you'll react.
basically that reaction. She's just like, and she's just kind of very dark gray cheeks, like full on. There's no concealing it because she's still very light gray, and she's just like,
Forges, interesting. I'll remember that.
So yeah, and she still is like, she stays dancing and everything, and she's very much just like, hey.
That's
Okay.
great. All right, well, it's over to your turn.
While we're dancing, she's very much just like, she tries to show you a different move than she did with Elegy, because obviously like you're corporeal and you're used to this form, like it, and so she tries to do a flashy, elegant maneuver, and then is very much like, it's an easy enough one where like you could definitely like flip the hand positions and do it just as easily to me, but it's kind of very much just like she spins you out, and then it's almost like a pull, and it lifts you more than it just like pulls you back in.
Nice.
So it's more like pull, jump, and she catches, and then it's the same to the other side, pull and catch back in front, and then back to the pattern. And so from there, she's like, "You wanted me to lead."
That's awesome. Yeah, no, that totally works. She's definitely impressed, and gets flipped through the air and is like, "Oh, I thought you were strong."
So, do you try to match me then? Like, do you try and attempt to do the same?
Let's see. What do I do after that? Oh boy. I think... Where do I want to go with this? So I think what she does is a similar type of move. But I think that she positions it so that like when you get flipped out and spun, and then you're moving to come back, she moves forward, and like has sort of positioned you where you're a little bit like pinned up against the wall, like her wings are sort of spread out and kind of creating a space around you. And she just sort of is like towering up over you a little bit with her head looking down, and she says, "Oh, I thought you'd like that. A little variation."
She just kind of giggles. She's like, I'll have to do that next time.
One can always learn new things.
Thanks for dancing with me.
Yeah, thank you too.
And she's just gonna awkwardly squeak.
Yeah, she lets
her
you
way
out. You're not
Yeah,
pushed
like
up against the wall.
awkwardly just like squeak her way out. And this is like
That's great. All right. Let's see. So that's everybody's second go around. I think for time, we're gonna zip ahead. So we will. Am I correct? Are we calling that the dance?
Yeah.
Perfect. So we have. Oh boy, we have 13 minutes left.
It's okay if we have to go a little bit over, but we'll try.
Okay,
We'll
cool.
try. We'll try.
All right, we
Endgame,
will-
baby.
We will go faster. As you can see, this game can very well lend itself to extremely long, drawn-out scenes. So, but they're so fun. Can't stop. Okay. So, zipping ahead. We will... everybody goes and takes a nap after the lovely dance that we had. It was so great. Okay. So we will scroll all the way down to page 31 is Endgame the Eclipse, a game for all players. I'll just blitz through reading it. So, you wake up. Wait, were you asleep? It seemed like you still had time before the eclipse, but suddenly it's happening right above you. All of you are gathered together on the Sky Mountain. Your fate has come for you, whether you're ready or not. So, to decide who of us was chosen by destiny, each player is going to put a hand out simultaneously, hold up 0, 1, or 2 fingers, and then starting from the current player who picked this game, we'll just say it's me for the sake of math. Then we will go around the table clockwise a number of times equal to the total numbers we all put up. The player we end up on is the one who is chosen. So don't worry about how that's going to work. Just put up some amount of fingers. Go. Some amount between 0, 1, and 2. There we go. All right.
I was like, wait.
Math is hard.
Okay. So that is, what was that, 8?
Yeah.
So we basically go around an even number of times. So we go 1, 2, 3, 8, and it turns out that Moxie, if I did that math right, is the one who is chosen by destiny.
Seems
So
appropriate.
dang. All right, so now we have some options, which I will speedily talk us through. We can either let destiny unfold by allowing the chosen one to attain totality. That would mean that Moxie gets to change the worlds to her liking, as she is destined to do that. And as you will see from the game about that on your right, then she sort of disappears. And that might not be great for her, or it might be great. And she gets to change the world, and then the rest of us get to say how we feel about that. The other alternatives are we can let our bonds to each other draw us to attain unity. So that is a second type of endgame where one of us starts rising up and the other ones of us will not let them go. And we all will change what's going on with us together. And then finally, we can break the Sky Mountain by ending this sort of cycle of changing the world and basically stopping this cycle. So those are our 3 options. Which of those sounds interesting to people?
I really like the notion of breaking the Sky Mountain.
Cool. 'Cause it's, yeah.
I have to say attain Unity because Unity was one of Sapphire's dream prompts,
Ooh, that's true.
right? And so everything is about Unity for her.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm between Unity and Break the Sky Mountain.
Should we leave? We'll leave the deciding vote up to Megan, since it's your character who's the destined one. The fingers decided it.
Right. Save as.
Fucking hell no, I can't word. Thanks.
Click save as. Oh my god.
She realizes that everybody is better off where they are, and she doesn't want to lose the friends that she's made or the bonds that have been made. Which, very gay dragons, nobody has any idea, but it's still a thing. And I feel like in order to break the cycle and to be able to do whatever she wants to visit you all or to be with whomever she wants to, she's going to break the Sky Mountain.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Because through the Sky Mountain breaking, we could attain unity after that.
Yeah.
Like, theoretically, like, we could still be together. We could still do the gay things and not have to worry about prophecies after.
Exactly. All right. Do you want to read us Endgame Break the Sky Mountain? It's going to be 1 page down and 1 page to the right.
Yes. The cycle has continued for millennia untold. It ends today. Your dreams and the dreams of your ancestors guided you here, and together you channel their passion and your own into an almighty power that splits the mountain into twain, leaving it falling toward the planet below as ancestral spirits spill out of it, finally free. What do each of you add to the spectacular display? And how are you changed by the rampant wild magic around you? I feel like Moxie actually calls upon Forge to break the mountain.
Cool. That seems awesome. Yeah. So I think I could do like the first crack in it.
Yeah. So she approaches you and is very much just like, it has been said that I am chosen, but I am choosing to break the mountain instead. This has gone on for far too long, and I need your help. I need all of your help, but I mostly need you because you have the large swacky thing.
And Forge is like, yes, I knew that would come in handy.
Yeah, so she's just like, will you help me break the mountain?
She's like, yeah, I've been hoarding giant hammers for 700 years. Of course I will definitely hit a mountain with it. That sounds amazing. This is the culmination of all my dreams. So I think that she holds up her, her best hammer, which I guess is the one she had earlier, and like breathes her like, eruption lightning breath like into it and sort of like charges it up with it, and then just like lifts it up and smashes it down in the middle of the mountain, and there's like a big reverberating sort of gong sound, and then it just like a big crack goes spider webbing out across the whole thing. So that's my contribution.
Can I add something to that?
Oh yeah.
Very briefly, because Sapphire's breath is good fortune, if I remember correctly. Yes. And I think she will also kind of go and just blow onto the hammer and be like, and almost like she wants good fortune to come of this action. So like she breathes that onto it, and it's like, okay, it's ready. And she's like, she's almost, awesome. Yeah, she's almost like happy to dance now because she's so excited about what's happening next.
Elegy, do you add anything?
Yeah, I think so part of the question I think earlier is like, in this final moment, what are the shifting landscapes of the Sky Mountain become? What imagery from your dreams is here real? I think
yes.
like
for sure.
as you strike, the first crack, the Sky Mountain begins to like pull asunder, and here this is where like what remained of the coral reef ended up in the Sky Mountain. It was like always here, but like floating above it the whole time, and so like this singing reef opens up and begins to echo with ambient magic. Um, and Elegy recalls the song from their dream from 1,000 years ago before they left to sail the sea of the stars, um, and opens their frills, and lets out a breath of tranquility, and begins to harmonize with the reef itself, which further accentuates the sundering of the mountain because that's what the coral reef has always wanted, is to be free from this prison that it's been in this whole time. And that begins to help release the ambient spirits that have been trapped inside.
And Moxie, besides teamwork, is very much going to use her breath, which is the lunar winds, to kind of scatter everything a little bit, so it's not all just like raining comets and everything just suddenly eats shit. So, so a lot of it is she's blowing it enough to where it's all scattering, and there's like bits of it that fly off in different directions. So like as you're hitting it, she's facing you as you're about to swing. So you swing and it breaks, and she just goes like massive breath of air, and it sends everything actually out towards space than the planet below, because she wants your world to be safe.
That's really cool.
And so in doing that, you actually end up smelling citrus fruits. And because she's really happy, like this is our solution. And so you smell like citrus, and then it's cold. It's actual lunar wind. It's cold air, and it's just nothing but it's like very, very like it's like 5 gum and just orange. And it sends everything off into the space, and that actually suddenly it was like a weird sense of deja vu, like the dream finally unlocked in her head, and is like, I was right, the barrier was that I couldn't do this on my own, but the barrier wasn't things that I had created, the barrier was using my own power. And so going from basically being like engineering nerd to being like the real power was within me all along, like that was basically like the whole dream. Was it was like you remember who you are, like you are a dragon, you have this power, you have this magic, and using it to fight the greater good kind of thing was something that apparently she needed to do.
That's so cool. All right, so each of us also answers how we are changed by the rampant wild magic around us. I think Forge is going to as the mountain has cracked and you're blowing it away, there are like spirits of the other dragons. Like Elegy mentioned, that the other dragons who did this ritual disappeared, and they have been trapped as spirits inside of this mountain. So they start trying to like fly out of it. We see these big like ghostly dragons. And I think that they have the like chains from Forge's dream, like binding them and trying to pull them back in. And she's like, no. And she just like holds out her hand, and all of the chains start to pull in and wrap around her. And they're like digging into her, and like you can see that she's like, holding her her arms strong against it with like the scales. And so she's getting just like wrapped all around by these chains. As she like pulls them off of the ancestors.
What about Sapphire?
I think Sapphire finally seeing all of the people from her dreams suddenly just burst forth is just she kind of begins like dancing in joy. She's kind of almost swimming in all of these spirits that are kind of escaping, and she's just like she's reaching out to each of them. She's almost like trying to touch every single one of them, and she's just trying to connect with all of them. And I think trying to engage with all of these spirits, I think you see all these different colors. I know I said she was kind of a polka dot dragon. No, now she's actually a fucking polka dot dragon, because there's actual like all these other colors blossoming on her now. Like there's all of this different vibrancy, and she's kind of taking a little, not like taking, but like almost like trying to grasp at the essence of each person and almost like honor them Do you know what I mean? And so her scales
Yeah.
take on different colors, and it's like, this is for this one, this is for this one, this is for this one. And they all just kind of show up on her.
That's cool.
Elegy, as they've been singing, has like been turning into stardust this whole time, like the longer the song goes on, um, until they've like finally dissipated from their body and they're just like a dragon-shaped star pattern. Um, but the magic, like as they continue to sing the song, like they hit like this one sustained high note, and then it becomes like a this really intense harmony. And the stars begin to weave themselves back together in a physical form that is like what they were before, but a little more like the dragons that are both sun and moon dragons now, while still having that kind of iridescent star-like pattern. No longer the bioluminescence, but sort of like the astral plane layered on top of a dragon form. And like their body parts are shifting so that they're like becoming both a humanoid and then a dragon and then something in between. They are able to finally shapeshift the way that other dragons were able to.
Yay.
Yay! And I kind of said it, like Moxie is very much just like it's a moment of clarity for her, and she's it's not so much like as metaphoric or exhilarating, but it's just a moment of like relief, because it's like this dream had been stressing her out. She hadn't been able to create, she hadn't been able to do what she needed to do back home, and so this kind of just brought that clarity and relief back into her body, and she wasn't as stressed out, and so she's very much just like, thank you, like to the spirits, and to kind of just like the universe is like, thanks for like pulling me this way, like this is what I needed. So moving on from that, we then have erase 3 of the current truths you've established in world building. Add a new truth that reflects what happens when the sky mountain falls, and add 1 reflecting your ancestors' dream coming true. And then add 1 that represents 1 or all of your dreams coming true.
And we could do that, or we could say that was a really good ending point.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because going back to our world building would be very satisfying, but it will also take a little bit. And I think we can all use our imaginations for what cool magical effects that cracking the mountain apart had. That was really satisfying, you guys. Thank you so much for playing.
Thank you.
That's Dragonhearts as she is played.
Yay!
Thank you.
Oh, that was so good.
I love it.
Yeah.
And thank you so much to our audience as well. It's been really fun performing for everyone. Yay.
All right. I think we have a couple of outro things that need doing.
Yeah, let me grab that. Where is it?
I think we can start by going around and just, saying who we are and where we can find you on the internet. And Alex, make sure you drop a link to the game in the chat for anyone that wants to play.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Go grab that.
You go grab that. I'll start. Hi, my name is Neelam, also known as Leona. You can find me on Twitter at the Leona Maple. And I am the producer of Vibrant Visible Victorious, which is what you're watching right now. I'm also a mod in the Discord, so please feel free to join us if you're having fun watching this and you want to see more. Then join us in the Discord for all sorts of fun stuff. And I think, oh no, wait, I'm an intersectionality consultant, so please feel free to check me out on Twitter, and you can hear all about my work and what I do and how I can help you out. So yeah, that's it for me. Who wants to go next?
I think Simon was next in that order from beginning, so we can just do that.
Sure, I'll do it. I am Simon once again. You can find me on Twitter and on itch at Lucha Libris. I am a recurring cast member on this channel on Sundays at 3 o'clock. Tune in for PWN Presents Slaughter. We play the Worldwide Wrestling RPG. It's a good time. There's going to be a puppet next session tomorrow afternoon. I'm going to wrestle with a puppet. It's going to be a good time. On Thursdays on Scraticus Academy at 2:30 Eastern, I play in a game called Secrets of Duskfall. It's sort of like a Blades in the Dark by way of Call of Cthulhu campaign. I'm going to be on So Matty Games on Sunday nights as well, starting up next month, I believe, start of next month because of technical difficulties. And I will be GMing a game on Welcome to the Party on Wednesdays for the upcoming season starting in May. It's going to be called Unnatural Disasters. It's a Monster of the Week game. It's sort of like Hellboy meets XCOM. I'm recruiting right now. If you're interested and you're in the Discord and you are a BIMPOC player, I would love to have you first and everyone else after to fill in the gaps. If you also would like to hear my voice in a not RPG setting, you can check out the Penumbra podcast. I'm a voice actor over there for a very queer sci-fi and fantasy audio drama that's at the Penumbra Pod on Twitter.
Right, was it me next?
Yep.
Cool. So I'm Alex Guerrero. You can check out my games over at this link that I have sent into the chat. I'm at Zendaris on Twitter, and the same thing on itch. This was, I guess, 3 of the games of Dragonhearts, which, as you can see, definitely can take a while if you all get really into it, which we did, which was so good. But wait, there's more. There are like 9 other games we didn't even play. You can do a pursuit. You can have a big cool fight. You can have very fun, sensuous, consent-based in each other's arms scenes. Yeah, there's all sorts of good stuff that you haven't even seen. So go ahead and check it out. There are community copies available for people who are in need, and you also pay for another community copy for someone else if you ever buy the game. So feel free to check it out, grab one of those, and yeah. I am not on any other things currently airing. I believe on March 5th, there's going to be the Masks of Hero High game starting, which is going to be on the, what is it called? Not Welcome to the Party, that's this one. On Off the Table, I think is the group. So watch my Twitter for announcements about that. Going to be playing sad teen superheroes making terrible decisions, which is always fun.
Yes.
Yay. And I am Meg or Megan, whatever. You can find me wandering around the Discord as a mod, and you can also find me here on our Friday game on the channel doing a Sum of 4 with Leona. Kicking butt, taking names. You're the one time I'm not playing a Dragonborn. And that's pretty much it.
All right. Perfecto. I think I remember the outro, but Alex, if you can just correct me if I miss anything.
Yeah.
So thank you so much to everyone that subbed, that also gave bits, and that just hung out in chat. It was lovely having you all. Please feel free to join us in the Discord, and I did just drop that link in there, as well as support us on Patreon. Where all of the buttons go towards creating all of this amazing community content and helping us all out. And lastly, of course, a huge thank you to our sponsors, Devin Rue, So Nerdware, not So Many Games, So Nerdware, and Tabletop Loot, and of course Roll20. And I think that's about it. Did I get it all?
Let folks know what's up next, but I think we are the last thing.
We are the last thing. So come back tomorrow for PWN Presents, because that'll be next. And I think that's all we gotta do. And now I'm just gonna find us a raid very quickly. Raid.
Off the Table is on currently.
Off the Table. Okay, let's do it since we mentioned them. /raid. Let's do.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that Masks game. My character has a giant robot snake.
I am so excited.
As her
about
robot
it.
Snake.
There we go.
Because I
Alrighty.
have a brand.
No, that's so good. I love that. Okay, so we are just counting down for the raid. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and we will see you next week. Everyone say bye.
Bye.
Okay, raid. Okay, it's doing the raid. I'm gonna cut out the